What a day already. Couple of blockbuster moves here on the day of the NFL trade deadline. Welcome into the show no matter where you are, how you're tuned in. Thank you so much for being here with us. My name is Chase, Senior Producer Chip, producing the show as always. NFL trade deadline officially hits at 4 p.m. Eastern, so we'll be live over the next 3 hours in the lead up to the buzzer sounding. Coming up here on the show, live reactions to every single trade that is made here today. We're going to discuss the latest trade buzz across the National Football League. We're going to answer your questions. We're going to take your super chats, and we're going to hang out here with all of the real ones. Now, I've got Twitter popped up. Anytime there's breaking news, we'll relay that to you. And obviously, I'm keeping my eyes on the chat. I'm looking at social media on X to see what tweets come in. I've got a TV here to my right. What we want to do all day is give you the most informative, insightful, entertaining, thought-provoking NFL trade deadline coverage. And we want to hang out with all of the people. As you can see, the NFL trade deadline ticker right below me. 2 hours and 52 plus minutes until that 4 p.m. Eastern deadline hits. Once that deadline comes around, no trades can be made, and so we do expect to see a lot of action here over the next couple of hours. And already, for those of you who have been keeping tabs on this, you know some big trades just went down, and we'll obviously break those down here momentarily. Shout out your city. Let me know where you're watching from. We're emanating live from Studio I at Chat Sports HQ. But where are you? Want to give some shout outs to all of the people here. I'm seeing Trey Losado is in Virginia. Mystery Dragon, Wisconsin. Outdoor Creations, Harrisburg. Our guy Kane Angel, England. Wilkes-Barre, Dover, Delaware. Memphis, Tennessee. Massachusetts. I'm also seeing New Jersey, Bay Area, Coachella, very cool. Naples, Florida. Hernando, Florida. San Diego, South Dakota, San Diego, Durham, North Carolina. We have people hanging out from all across America and worldwide. Of course, the real ones know I'm the host of the 49ers Report. I'm the host of Eagles Now. We will be doing a super chat battle all throughout the day. Which channel is going to pick up more super chats? We're not going to do a fancy super chat menu, but these two channels and these two fan bases can really duke it out. You've got the East Coast against the West Coast. Tupac and Biggie would be proud. 49ers Report getting us started with the $2 super chat, and we'll get to that here in just a bit. Of course, the big trades that just went down. Sauce Gardner traded to the Indianapolis Colts from the New York Jets. The Jets getting 2 first-round picks for a corner, and then Adonai Mitchell, the wide receiver, also going from Indy to New York. I liked him in the draft last year. I thought that he would have been a good option for the San Francisco 49ers. They elected to draft Ricky Pearsall, but he can play. And it is very rare that we say the New York Jets make a good move. I think the New York Jets have made a very smart move. Here are the official trade details, and obviously this is very fluid, and it just got released and confirmed that A.D. Mitchell is in this trade as well. And so the Colts, 7-2 right now, going all in. Daniel Jones hasn't played great over the last couple of weeks. He did have 3 interceptions against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers able to get a good win the other day on Sunday in Week 9. But the Colts are a factor inside the AFC. You have to take them for real. They have a good offensive line. Jonathan Taylor's been balling so far. He's in the running for MVP or Offensive Player of the Year, potentially both. On defense, I thought they might make a move for a defensive end to upgrade that pass rush, but they also needed a corner. And so Sauce Gardner will now team up alongside Charvarius Mooney-Ward, the former Niner, to give Indianapolis a pretty good 1-2 punch at that corner spot. The Colts right now 7-2, first place in the AFC South. I don't think the Texans or the Jags are going to catch them. Their salary cap space, only $4.26 million. That's 29th in the NFL. It's probably why they needed to include an A.D. Mitchell in this move. On pace to win their first AFC South title since the 2014 season. It's been a long time. Another big move. This impacts the NFC playoff picture and the NFC West. The Seattle Seahawks receiving Rashid Shaheed. The Saints get back a 2026 4th round pick and a 2026 fifth round pick. I really like this move for Seattle. You put Shaheed at wide receiver alongside Jackson Smith-Njigba and the rookie, Torrey Horton, who's been a revelation this year. Sam Darnold's been in his bag. Kubiak's been calling the heck out of that offense. And I think that Shaheed is one of the more underrated, electrifying playmakers in the National Football League. He's a deep threat who can really take the top off of the defense. And so I like how he complements Jackson Smith-Njigba and Torrey Horton. 44 catches for nearly 500 yards. Bad quarterback play, along of 87. He's such an explosive player. Now, we'll continue to talk about all of these trades here throughout the next couple of hours. And, of course, we'll take your questions. We'll take your super chats. If you have questions, guarantee you're going to get on the show if you send in a super chat. Let's get to our sponsor, though. Our trade deadline coverage brought to you by Prize Picks, the hard-hitting football action, even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right, it never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Prize Picks has a couple of new features. It's the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You want to pick more on Josh Allen's pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns. Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. You can also follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app, copy their lineups in one click, whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just somebody whose picks you like. Hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. The Thursday night game this week, Broncos, Raiders. Bo Nix, more on the 21.5 passing completions. Ashton Genty more than 24.5 receiving yards. And then Brock Bowers, he looked awesome on Sunday, more than 6.5 receptions. So here's the deal. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, let's get to your super chats here. A couple super chats coming in. Johnny Slim with a $2 super chat. Go Birds, Johnny. Thank you so much for that. Saw some others come in as well. We'll pop those up here on your screen. Jeremiah Garcia, a $20 super chat. Checking in from Southwest Florida. I'm loving these moves by Howie. Howie Roseman's been in his bag, and Howie Roseman has been on a heater. Since the start of training camp, he has made 9 different trades. And off the dome, let me see if I can name them all. Traded for John Mechie. Traded for Jacorian Bennett. Traded for Fred Johnson. Traded for Sam Howell. Traded away Darian Kennard. Traded for Michael Carter. Traded for Jair Alexander. Traded for Jalen Phillips. Traded for Tank Bigsby. That's the last one that I was forgetting. 9 trades since the start of training camp. It's almost like he has a trade fetish. He's a psycho, but I absolutely love it. That's the line that I've been using on the show over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, he deserves credit for being uber aggressive, making those moves, always trying to improve his ball club. But the owner and Jeffrey Lurie deserves praise as well for giving him the leeway to make these moves as well. Spunky Guy with the $2 super chat. Hello, Chase and Chip. What's up, Spunky? Hope you're having a good day. And then Tony DeWeese wants the 49ers to get Trey Hendrickson. That's the apple of my eye if I'm San Francisco. That's the player who I want to go after, is a guy in Trey Hendrickson who can make the pass rush and the defense so much better. He helps you out at all 3 levels of your defense. Right now, the Niners not able to generate a consistent pressure on the quarterback. But the issue in trading for Hendrickson, it's the price tag, number one. According to reports, the Bengals want a first-round pick. I'm not giving up a first-round pick for Trey Hendrickson. What I am willing to do, if I'm the Niners, they have one of their own 4th-round picks, right? Then they have 3 slotted 4th-round compensatory picks. I would try to trade one of those 4th-rounders away. You can't trade those comp picks, but you make that move knowing that you have that in your back pocket, right? So trade that 4th, which can become a 5th if Bryce Huff gets to 8 sacks. So that could cause some problems here for the acquiring team. But let's say you trade one of those picks for a Bradley Chubb, for a Jermaine Johnson. That's the type of move that I think the Niners will make. I don't think they're going to give up a first for Trey Hendrickson. Would I think about giving up a second for Trey Hendrickson? Yes. The other issue in acquiring him, he's on an expiring year of his contract. So he's not under contract beyond 2025. And so if you're San Francisco, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have said, we want to acquire players who can be with us now and in the future. I do think that Trey Hendrickson would be worth keeping around. Mykel Williams and Nick Bosa have torn ACLs. You don't know when they're going to come back or what they're going to look like next year. When they do eventually come back, and if you decide to give Hendrickson a contract extension, you could play any of those players on the field at the same time as part of that Niners NASCAR package because they can all play defensive end and they can play defensive tackle. And so that's a move that I think would make sense. The other question with Hendrickson, how much money would he demand on a contract extension after the season? Jeremiah Garcia, a $20 super chat, checking in from Southwest Florida, loving these moves from Howie. Yeah, that's the one that we popped up a little while ago. And Howie Roseman has made some really good moves. And he's talked about this, whether it's a premium player or it's the 52nd or 53rd player on the 53-man roster. If he thinks that he can improve the team, he's going to exhaust every resource, go down every single avenue to try to improve his football team. And that's why I think you can make the argument right now. He's not just the best general manager in the National Football League. He might be the best general manager in American professional sports. When you think about the 4 major leagues, NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, and the NHL. And honestly, it's getting to a point now where obviously college football is college, but with players getting paid and the emergence of name, image, and likeness, and with the college football playoff expanding, it's almost like college football is becoming a professional sport. And shoot, they're hiring general managers as well. Evan Foley with a $20 super chat. Watching from Wisconsin. Going to have the game on Monday. House divided. My fiance is a Packers fan. Now that we're halfway through, what teams actually look scary to us? Love the show. Go Birds. Evan, thanks for sending in that super chat. A house divided. It's always going to be interesting, right? You're going for the Birds. Your wifey going for the Green Bay Packers. Let's hope that the Eagles can pull out a win. That's going to be a huge game, which determines a lot with the NFC playoff picture, with the Packers losing on Sunday, with the Lions losing on Sunday. Packers go down to the Panthers. Lions go down to the Vikings. The NFC playoff picture had a lot of changes over the weekend. The Philadelphia Eagles had one of the best bye weeks that you'll ever see in the history of the National Football League. They didn't even play, and they moved up to the number 1 seed. And now they really have an opportunity to control their own destiny, and they have a great opportunity here to get home field advantage in the number 1 seed in the NFC. Because Philadelphia's next 2 games, and this goes to answer that super chat as well about some of the contending teams inside the NFC, the Eagles play the Packers, then the Lions. Then on Black Friday, they play the Chicago Bears. And so if the Eagles can beat the Packers and the Lions and improve upon that 6-2 record, get to 8-2, considering what their NFC record would be, not only are we talking about the Eagles maybe repeating in the NFC East for the first time since 2004, because there hasn't been a repeat divisional winner in the NFC East since then, we're talking about the Eagles having a great opportunity to get that number 1 seed. Good luck to you, my man, with the house divided. Going to be an awesome game, and hopefully we see you for our watch party. Another trade has happened across the NFL. Joe Tryon to the Chicago Bears, in addition to him going to Chicago. The Bears getting a 7th-round pick, and the Browns receiving a 6th-round pick. Now, Joe Tryon is a player who I talked about as a 49ers trade target. And a reason I brought him up, and this was a couple of weeks ago, not him being a high-level starter, but him being a really good depth piece. He played his college football at Washington. He was drafted in the 1st round, 32nd overall, by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jason Light is one of the most underrated GMs in the game. He's the GM for Tampa Bay. That was a rare miss for him in the 1st round. Joe Tryon hasn't really panned out with either Tampa Bay or with Cleveland, but I liked him as a Niners piece because of what Robert Saleh and Chris Kosera could do with him. The size is there, 6'5", 259, only 9 tackles and 1 quarterback hit. The Bears are in a spot right now where they just need pass rushers. They just lost a big free agent acquisition, Dio, to a torn Achilles. Derek Cross with the $2 super chat. In Howie we trust, go Birds. How do you not trust Howie Roseman? I mean, Howie Roseman, best GM in the game right now, uber aggressive, very smart. He's able to extract great value in a lot of these moves. He's a magician with the salary cap. He's been on a heater when it comes to the NFL draft. His player evaluation has been phenomenal as well. David Law, the fourth $10 super chat. So there were 3 other David Laws before you. How about that? 55-year fan. Do you think John Lynch is gun-shy with the Trey Lance debacle? Caldwell, Idaho, from Petaluma. That's awesome. Tuned in from Idaho. I've heard some underrated things about Idaho, especially in the summertime. It looks to be one of the more beautiful geographical states in North America. 55-year fan. How about that? Do I think John Lynch is gun-shy with the Trey Lance debacle? I don't. I don't at all. That has not kept John Lynch from also being aggressive. Now, is John Lynch as aggressive as Howie Roseman? No. And it's not even close. Is John Lynch to the level of Howie Roseman? No. Howie has 2 Super Bowl championships since John Lynch became general manager in 2017. And Howie is just coveted right now among all people across the NFL. He's just on an absolute heater, and he's working magic. John Lynch, though, is a pretty damn good general manager. And I know that him and Kyle Shanahan have had a lot of misses in the NFL draft, but also think about it from this standpoint too, right? That 2023 Niners team, one of the most talented teams ever that hadn't won a Super Bowl. The 49ers have made it to 4 NFC championship games and 2 Super Bowls in 6 years prior to 2025. We've looked at these Niners teams as very talented, right? Well, who is the guy picking these players? John Lynch is the GM. And Kyle Shanahan has player personnel say too. And while they've missed on some first rounders, they've made up for it by hitting on a lot of mid to late round picks too. So John Lynch does deserve credit for having the Niners win a lot of games and being a very good general manager. As far as him being gun shy, look, he has a track record for making a lot of deadline deals. Just off the rip, 2017 he traded for Jimmy Garoppolo. 2018 he traded for... Who was it in 2018? 2019 was Emmanuel Sanders. 2020, Jordan Willis. 2021, Charles Omenihu. 2022, Christian McCaffrey. 2023, Chase Young. Last year, they traded for a defensive tackle who didn't end up doing anything for the Niners. But he's made his fair share of deadline trades. But he's also been bold, making moves in free agency and on the trade market outside of the season. The trade for Bryce Huff, that was a huge trade for San Francisco. And obviously, he didn't work out as a scheme fit for Philadelphia. I'm kind of surprised that the Eagles didn't keep him. I mean, they had to trade for Jalen Phillips. They gave $34 million in guaranteed money to Bryce Huff. That was one of the rare misses for Howie. He's not perfect. That was a mess. And Bryce Huff with the Niners has worked out very well, has 4 sacks this year, and has been the Niners' best pass rusher without Nick Bosa. It's been awesome. So I don't think John Lynch is gun-shy at all. I think he's actually been somewhat of an aggressive general manager. Jake Billings, $5 super chat. Why don't we just give up multiple first-round picks for Maxx Crosby? We never do anything with them anyways. Last good first-round pick was Nick Bosa. Well, Ricky Pearsall, if he could stay healthy, looks to be pretty damn good. Let me pop up the Niners draft history here. So, Quinnen Williams was off to a good start. Obviously, torn ACL. That's just devastating for him and this team. Ricky Pearsall, solid selection if he can stay healthy. Obviously, that's the big question. Niners did not have a first-round pick in 2023. That 2023 draft class is all-time bad. Jair Brown, Jake Moody, Cam Latu, Darrell Luter, Robert Beal, D. Winters, Braden Willis, Ronnie Bell, and Jalen Graham. Yikes. Didn't have a first-round pick in 2022. The first selection that draft was Drake Jackson. That draft class is not good either. My goodness. Drake Jackson, Ty Davis-Price, Danny Gray, Spencer Burford, Samuel Womack, Nick Sakel, Kalia Davis, Tariq Castro-Fields. You got saved by Brock Purdy. Trey Lance taken in the first round in 2021. Javon Kinlaw in 2020. Jake, you make a good point, man. The Niners have not had a legitimate first-round pick who's had a sustained run of excellence and high-level play since Nick Bosa in 2019. That's a problem. And that's why some Niner fans very fed up with John Lynch. Totally see it. Now, at the same time, again, they've made up for it by hitting on a lot of day 2, day 3 guys. And they put together some pretty good rosters. And obviously, Kyle Shanahan has done a great job maximizing the team, especially despite all these injuries. But you're right. They've had a lot of first-round misses. Now, to answer your question about Crosby, why don't you give up multiple first-rounders for him? I do think that he's worth multiple firsts. If the New York Jets can net 2 first-rounders for Sauce Gardner, Maxx Crosby's starting point is 2 first-round picks. Maybe 2 1s and a 2, 2 1s and a 3, maybe even 3 firsts. That would be crazy. I wouldn't be willing to give up all that for Maxx Crosby. The other big thing here is that the Raiders aren't willing to deal him, and he doesn't want to go anywhere. And so obviously that's pretty important. It's Lucas. $1 super chat. Thank you, my guy. Rick Nyers chiming in again with the $20 super chat. What is up, my brother? We need to go all in on the Williams bros. Call the Jets. What's up, Chase and Chip? So, Quincy Williams, you're talking about?
I don't think they're trading Quinnen Williams.
And Quinnen Williams? Man, Quinnen Williams would be a great pickup for San Francisco. I know it wouldn't fit the Niners going after a defensive end, but what does it do? Which trading for a defensive end accomplishes, right? In theory, it improves your pass rush, which is what you need. And the underrated thing with Mykel Williams that he impacts the game at defensive end and at defensive tackle. CJ West has been a healthy scratch of late. Alfred Collins is good. But you get a player like Quinnen Williams, and then you get Quincy Williams, that helps solve your pass rush, helps solve your linebacking core as well. And look, are the Jets full on selling right now? They traded Sauce Gardner for 2 1s and A.D. Mitchell. Call him up and see. What I think the Niners should do, that I think is very realistic, trade for Jermaine Johnson. Johnny A, a $5 super chat. Rams and Seahawks playing in 2 weeks. Who do you pick in that game to win? Man, that's a really good one. The Rams have really been coming on of late. The Seahawks have been on fire, really since that Niners loss. I know they've lost a couple of games, but they've been cooking. Where is it? Let's see.
You know what's crazy as well? Going back to the Quinnen Williams stuff real quick. This account on Twitter that Marsh follows, that I follow too. I actually don't know why I even follow him. I don't know who this is, but they reported 8 minutes ago that trade talks surrounding Quinnen Williams has increased in the last 30 minutes, and the Niners are extremely interested, but might not be able to afford the price.
Okay.
And so I think this is like one of those Ricky-type accounts that has gotten stuff right in the past, if I remember correctly, yeah. Not Ricky himself, but maybe Quinnen Williams. Maybe. If they're trading Sauce Gardner, then maybe. Oh, wow. Cowboys trading for Bradley Chubb?
Is that happening?
You know what? This will be a good test because
Let's see.
This account just tweeted that out, so we'll see if they're right.
Nothing official there.
Nothing official. Phantom on Twitter.
Is he trying to become the next Ricky?
Maybe. We'll see it. We'll see if he gets this right. What's up, Dubs fam? We'll see.
Another thing, too, with the Jets, they really have all the ammo that you need to get a quarterback in the offseason. Whether it's trading for one or whether it's moving up for one. But very rarely do you say the New York Jets made a smart move. I think it's actually a very smart move. Scotty Martinez. Oh, Johnny A. That game, by the way, is at SoFi. And then they play again in Seattle halfway through December. How about I take the home team in both? When is that game, by the way? Is that a primetime game? Shoot. November 16th. I'd love to do a watch party for that game on the 49ers Report. Who do the Niners play on the 16th? They play the Cardinals that day. Both in that late afternoon window. And then they play again December 18th. The Rams-Seahawks play at 7:15. The Niners play the Titans on the 14th and the Colts on the 22nd. Maybe we'll do a watch party on the 49ers Report for that second Seahawks-Rams game on December 18th. That could be a possibility for us. Who do the Eagles play that day? Eagles do not play that day either. The Eagles play the Raiders on the 14th and the Commanders on the 20th. So that second Rams-Seahawks game is a Thursday nighter. Scotty Martinez. This is the question of the decade, literally. Kyle Shanahan took over in 2017. Chase, what the F is with the 49ers injuries? Poor training staff, contaminated water in Santa Clara. Seriously, what's your opinion on why this continues to happen? Well, I became a viral sensation, and I was in the Twitter crosshairs for a lot of Niner fans the other day because I had a tweet that went off for like 4 or 5 million views. And I got ripped for just passing along a theory that former Niners offensive lineman John Feliciano talked about after having discussions with Niners players. And I don't think this is the sole reason why the 49ers are suffering from injuries, but let me just give you what I think is going on, right? I think it comes down to a multitude of factors. I think it's the strength and conditioning coach. I think it's how they stretch and prepare. Obviously comes back to training and recovery techniques. It obviously comes down to the style of play. It, of course, comes down to practice habits. I also think in today's NFL, due to NFL rules, you can't have very physical practices during training camp. And then players don't play in the preseason. So once the regular season comes around, you have to go 0 to 100 real quick. Leads to a lot of injuries. A lot of these athletes are also in tip-top shape, and they're training so much. They're so twitchy. They're so jacked. They're so fast and explosive that I think the wear and tear sometimes eventually leads to the body breaking down. An additional theory that I put out on Twitter that led to people calling me the Alex Jones of NFL content creators was that there's an electrical substation next to the Niners practice facility. And if you are a believer that EMF and magnetic fields can lead to injuries and breaking the body down, I know it sounds crazy. There's actually a lot of interesting research, studies, and data that backs that up. It can impact your thyroid. That controls a lot of the major systems in your body. It impacts your sleep. If you don't sleep well, you don't recover well, your body breaks down. Some studies show it can lead to soft tissue things. I had so many Twitter doctors tell me I'm an idiot for even passing along what Niners players have talked about. But then I had experts who are quote tweeting my tweet, responding to it, messaging me, who study the dangers of EMF. And they were saying there could be something to this. Doctors were saying this could play a reason why the Niners get so injured all the time. So clearly they're smarter than Twitter doctors, but Twitter doctors are a little bit louder. I think it's a combination of things. But if you were to buy a house, or if you were to build a house, would you ever build a house next to an electrical substation? I put this through Grok, ChatGPT. Would you build a football practice facility next to an electrical substation? Grok said, no, that's not smart. There's also ties between an electrical substation and childhood leukemia. Look, when you have a parent die from cancer early when they were a healthy individual, it'll change your whole scope and your whole mindset when it comes to health and wellness. So I live a more holistic life now than I ever did because I want to live a long life that my mom couldn't live, right? And so you are willing to tap into anything. And for the Niners, I just want them to be healthy because they're a fun team to watch. They're a fun team to cover. They're a fun team to talk about. Historic franchise, great brand, iconic brand all across the world. But these injuries are a freaking joke. And when it's been going on for nearly a decade straight, I think anything can be questioned at that point. Jeremiah Garcia, a $10 super chat. With Howie Roseman getting another edge rusher and Nolan Smith coming back, how do you think Jahad Campbell will be used from here on out, with Jakobi Dean also having a good return game? Jeremiah, that's a really good question. And this is among fans for the Eagles who love the football team and are very invested. This is one that they brought up over the last couple of days, and obviously you fit that bill and you know ball. Jakobi Dean came back against the Giants, didn't play. Then he started against Minnesota, played well. Started the following game too against the Giants again and played well. And I think one of the differences you've seen with Jakobi is that he's good in coverage, but excellent against the run. And we saw last year that you can occasionally use him as a blitzer too. Now, he is not the athlete that Jahad Campbell is. Jahad Campbell is taller, he's longer, he's faster, he's more physical. And I think that Jahad Campbell is going to be a really good player. I mean, to start the season, he was the highest graded rookie, according to PFF, among all rookies in football. But what the Eagles and Vic Fangio were forced into doing was lining him up at edge rusher because they didn't have bodies there. Nolan Smith on IR. Brandon Graham wasn't ready for that second Giants game. Obu Okoronkwo out for the year, torn triceps. Azeez Ojulari, hamstring. He's now on injured reserve. So you were having to play a lot of Jalix Hunt and Patrick Johnson. Za'Darius Smith retired. And so that took Jahad Campbell out of that off-ball linebacker rotation, and they needed to use him at pass rusher. Now, with BG coming back, Nolan Smith coming back, the trade for Jalen Phillips, and Jakobi Dean playing well, and this defense has played very well the last two games, we've seen Campbell's snaps go down. And I think that's fine. He's a rookie. It's unfortunate that his snaps are going down, but if your defense is better, you're trying to win a Super Bowl this year, it gives you really good depth with Campbell there. And here's the unfortunate reality if you love Jakobi Dean. Because the Eagles drafted Jahad Campbell and because I think that he can be really good and him alongside Zach Bond could be one of the best linebacking duos in the NFL, I think Jakobi Dean walks after this year. He's going to be a free agent. He gets paid some big-time dollars to go elsewhere. And then Jahad Campbell, after getting good experience as a rookie, is then prepared to step in there for a sophomore campaign. But good question. Appreciate that super chat. Matthew Fitzpatrick, $2. Just joined. Did I miss anything? Did you miss anything? We'll recap every single trade. We can do that. That's happened over the last couple of days.
Yeah.
Did you have another super chat popped up?
Oh, yeah, we can
run through the super chats, and then for you, Matthew, we'll go through all the trades that have happened today and in the days prior. Spartan Golf 98. Hey, Chase, any way we trade Jalix Hunt and 2 first-round picks for Myles Garrett? That would be a blockbuster type of trade. It would send a shockwave across the entire National Football League, but it's not a move that I would make for a couple of reasons. One, Jalix Hunt is in year 2. He has 2 more years left on his contract. He has 16 pressures in the last 3 games. He's coming off a game in which he finally had a sack and had 5 pressures by himself of Jackson Dart. And he played really well last year, especially in the playoffs. So you have a blossoming player who played well last year, starting to find it this year. The Eagles really like him. He's a very affordable asset as a 3rd-round pick for this year and 2 more years. He'll be a fraction of the cost now, and if he gets a contract extension, compared to Myles Garrett. So you pair that and you couple that with also giving up 2 first-round picks for Myles Garrett, I think the price is a little bit too high. Now, obviously, last week with a couple of videos, I talked about the Eagles' pursuit of Myles Garrett. According to a report from Charles Robinson of Yahoo, they were willing to give up 3 first-round picks, but I don't think the Browns are willing to move him. And while Howie may have offered that, or at least was interested in that for Garrett, and he tried to make a trade for Micah Parsons, I do think it could be somewhat detrimental to the team. But I'll tell you this, if Myles Garrett was on the Philadelphia Eagles, they would become immediate Super Bowl favorites. You also think about the move that Howie made for Jalen Phillips. I think your edge rusher rotation is now set. You have Jalen Phillips, Nolan Smith. Those will be your starters. After them, you have Jalen Hunt and Brandon Graham and Josh Uche. So those are your 5 edge rushers right there. Patrick Johnson, you'll have to figure out what to do with him. If you want to put him back on the practice squad, obviously he'd have to clear waivers following the trade deadline. The Eagles do have to make a couple of moves in order to open up some roster spots because Jacorian Bennett can come back, Nolan Smith can come back, Brandon Graham is officially on the roster. You need a roster spot, I still believe, for Jalen Phillips. We're going to see some roster maneuvering here by Philadelphia today or going into this Packers game over the next couple of days. All right, so I think it was Matthew, right, who asked about all of the trades that have happened, and he asked, did I miss anything? Well, not only did you miss things today, but maybe you missed things over the last week or so. It was last Tuesday, I believe, that the Niners traded for Keion White. Keion White ended up playing pretty well for San Francisco against the Giants. And let me try to pull up some of his numbers with what he did against New York. And obviously, you see the trade details here. Niners get Keion White and a 2026 7th-round pick for a 2026 6th-round pick. So a late-round pick swap between these two teams. 20 of his 33 snaps came lined up inside at defensive tackle. Kyle Shanahan had said on Monday that Keion White definitely shows a lot of inside rush potential. The Niners love these bigger defensive ends who could play defensive tackle. Mykel Williams, Charles Omenihu, Arden Key, Cleveland Ferrell, Jordan Willis. PFF credited White with a 20% win percentage as a pass rusher. 5th highest at his position in week 9 among all pass rushers. So you saw immediately the impact that Keion White was able to make. And he had some good reps too against Andrew Thomas, who's one of the best tackles in football. And I also thought I saw something else with this pass rush win rate, but that goes to show you some pretty damn good numbers right there. So the Niners made that trade last week. This trade also happened the same day. Yeah. Steelers got Kyle Duggar from New England. Just kind of fell out of favor with Mike Vrabel's defense. Same happened with Keion White. He's just running a different scheme. The Patriots received a 2026 6th-round pick. And then this trade happened on Wednesday. Eagles got slot corner Michael Carter. He's played 85% of his snaps on the inside. And a 2027 7th-round pick. The Jets received John Mechie and a 2027 6th-round pick. So 2 trades for wide receivers in the last week for New York. Traded for John Mechie, former 2nd-round pick. Traded for A.D. Mitchell today in that Sauce Gardner trade. And A.D. Mitchell, a high pick, only 23 years old. He was taken 2nd round, 52nd overall last year. On Saturday, I had just gotten home from a walk. Got the notification that Howie made a 2nd trade of the week at that point. Trading for former 2-time 2nd-team All-Pro Jair Alexander. Only played a couple of games with Baltimore, didn't play well. Was targeted 5 times, gave up 5 catches for over 100 yards. But important to note here that Alexander was coached by Eagles defensive backs coach Christian Parker when Parker was with the Packers a few years ago. And so the Eagles do like the familiarity there. And it just gives you a depth veteran option at corner in a year where you have Quinyon Mitchell year 2, Cooper DeJean year 2, Keely Ringo year 3, Adoree Jackson been in the league since 2017, but he's a stiff, and the Jacorian Bennett year 3. Ravens received a 2026 6th-round pick. Yesterday morning, Howie Roseman again. Howie did it again. traded for Jalen Phillips, the pass rusher, for a 2026 third-round pick. Of note there, the Eagles still have 2 third-round picks. They have a compensatory pick from Milton Williams signing. They have the Jets' third-round pick, which could be a top 3 pick in the third round. So they give up their own third, which hopefully, probably, going to be at the end of that third round. If Jalen Phillips walks after the year, they get a third-round compensatory pick back. So it's a wash pretty much. Very little risk outside of injuries for Jalen Phillips. Medically retired in college, torn Achilles in 2023, torn ACL in 2024. But really starting to come on, and since week 3, he's been one of the more productive pass rushers in football. Last night, Ravens traded for Dre'Mont Jones. This is the type of move that I wanted the Niners to make. A 5th-round pick for Dre'Mont Jones, and it's a conditional 5th-round pick that the Titans get, a team that is selling. They signed Dre'Mont Jones to a 1-year contract. That's the type of move I want to see the Niners make. This morning, after Jerry Jones had teased yesterday that the Cowboys had made a trade, but didn't divulge as to who it was for, what position, all he said was this player is going to be able to come in and play right away. He makes a trade for linebacker Logan Wilson, who has seen his snaps decrease for the worst defense in the National Football League. And after the Cowboys got crushed by the Arizona Cardinals last night, that's the move that they make for a 2026 7th-round pick. I don't think he's going to do a lot to improve that horrible Cowboys defense. And then right before we went live, couple of blockbuster trades. The Jags receiving wide receiver Jakobi Meyers in exchange for a 4th-round pick in 2026 and a 6th-round pick in 2026. The Raiders are bad. They need as much draft ammunition as possible. And Jakobi Meyers is going to be a free agent after the year. Meyers had been unhappy with the Raiders for quite some time. I would be too. Poorly run offense, poorly run team, poorly coached team with only 2 wins this year. And the Jags had lost Travis Hunter probably for the rest of the year. So for the Raiders to coop a 4th-round pick and a 6th-round pick, pretty good value right there for Las Vegas. And the Jags get a receiver who they really needed. Now, some people have theorized and speculated, does that mean that Brian Thomas could get dealt? I don't think so. You lose Travis Hunter, you needed to make a move at wideout. They cut Gabe Davis this offseason, so they trade for Jakobi Meyers. How about this blockbuster? Woo! The Colts receiving Sauce Gardner, the all-pro corner. The Jets get 1st-round picks in 2026 and in 2027, and Adonai Mitchell. The Colts clearly believe that despite that loss against the Steelers, where they turned it over 6 times, Daniel Jones threw 3 picks, that they can contend this year. And the AFC is somewhat open. Chiefs are a little bit down. Bills have a sketchy defense. Colts, a top 3 team in the conference. This is a move that impacts the Niners here. The Seahawks receiving Rashid Shaheed, a burner, vertical threat, to pair him up alongside Torrey Horton and Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's one of the more underrated, electrifying players in football. The Saints receive a 2026 4th-round pick and a 2026 5th-round pick. That's pretty good value for a pending free agent as well. And then the most recent trade here, the Bears got Joe Tryon and a 7th-round pick for a 6th-round pick. So those are all of the trades that have happened over the last week in this trade deadline range. So the 49ers report, we're at $60 in Super Chats. Eagles now, $65 in Super Chats. Which channel can get to 100 quicker?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's have a day.
Let's go.
We're already about an hour into our coverage here.
Yep.
2 hours till the deadline, folks. 2 hours till the deadline. And we got 1,500 people watching on Eagles. Nearly 1,500 watching on Niners. We got to get those likes numbers up, baby. It's NFL trade deadline day, man. You want to see The Eagles or the Niners make another trade here today. Smash that thumbs up icon. 300 likes on Eagles, 200 likes on Niners. Who can get more? Who can get more?
Hit that thumbs up icon, like the video.
Couple blockbusters already. We're hearing some buzz that teams continue to call the Jets about Jermaine Johnson. They're looking for a second-round pick.
Man, that's rich.
That's rich.
This coming from Zach Rosenblatt. I do not think the Jets are done. As of a couple of weeks ago, the Jets insisted privately that Quinnen Williams was not seriously on the table. But over the last few days, there's been a lot of noise about him being available and the idea that the Jets might have come down a bit on their price. Same for Jermaine Johnson. The Jets, he said, told him that they valued him as part of their team. That has not stopped them from taking phone calls. As the Jets showed with sauce, they'll trade anybody for a certain price. Darren Moogie is working the phones.
I mean, you trade sauce. Got a good price, but everybody's on the table. Everybody's on the table. Keeping that thumbs up icon. Up to 400 likes on Eagles, 300 likes on Niners. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Is that a Four Loko chase?
It is not. It is a Form Energy. Yeah, no Four Locos for me. Just an energy drink.
Oh, man.
First Form. I'm a brand ambassador for them. If you want any supplements or workout products, let me know. Let me know.
A Four Loko would be nuts. He's not Lopez.
Four Loko would be crazy. We do have somebody here at Chat Sports, Nick Lopez. He produces a lot of our Saints coverage. He drinks Four Locos like on the regular. It's insane to me. I have not drank a Four Loko since college, and that was more than a decade ago. All right, let's see. Anything else happening? Let's
Slowed down a bit, I believe.
Teams continue to call about Jermaine Johnson. Jets want a second-round pick. Now, in any negotiation, right, you are going to start your asking price up here, very high, right? And then over time, you're going to bring that asking price down a little bit. And so the Jets obviously just got 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner. If any team is trading away a quality player, the asking price to start is going to be very high. Then you bring that asking price down. So if you look at a team like the San Francisco 49ers, they clearly need a pass rusher. They are 6-3. I don't think they last until the end of the year without making a move. I would be shocked if the Niners don't make a move. But I think the Niners might make a move the closer we get to the deadline because the prices for some of these players might drop, and also it allows things to shake out elsewhere across the NFL. So keep that in mind. Oh! Austin Scarberry with the $100 super chat on the 49ers report. What's up, boys? Austin, glad you got the 49ers report football just in time for the birthday. Happy belated birthday. And Austin makes it rain. That's going to put a big dent into the super chat battle here. Austin, you're the man. Cheers to you.
Austin, the legend.
CDL, Cigar and Golf, $5 super chat. We need edge and defensive tackle help, and we need it like 3 weeks ago. The Johnson and Williams trades would be ideal and wouldn't break the bank. See, Jermaine Johnson for a second-round pick, that's pretty rich. Now, I did tweet out a list of the Niners draft picks that they do have. And I've seen a lot of people saying the Niners don't have a lot of draft compensation. I actually think they're in a pretty good spot as far as their draft picks go. Here are the draft picks that the Niners have. For 2026, they have their own first, their own second, their own third, and their own fourth. They also have 3 fourth-round compensatory picks. Of note, those can't be traded. The 7th-round pick is conditional from the Patriots. So that 4th rounder that the Niners have of their own, that is notable because it becomes a 5th from Philadelphia if Bryce Huff has 8 sacks. And he is set to come back this upcoming week. If the Niners don't make a move, he's their best pass rusher. So I think they're in a good spot with their draft picks. If you can give up a 3rd for Jermaine Johnson, I'm doing it. If you can give up a 2nd for Trey Hendrickson, I'm doing it. CDL, cigar and golf. I mean, does life get better than smoking a cigar and golfing? Hard to beat. Boyett, hopefully I pronounced that right. What if the Niners trade Purdy for Myles Garrett? Won't happen. Plus, I don't think it makes sense for Cleveland to trade for Purdy, given that he's a smaller quarterback who doesn't have that strong of an arm, and he'd have to play in one of the worst weather cities in the NFL. Plus, he's under contract and making a ton of money. If you're Cleveland and you're so bad, just draft one. Because then, if you draft the quarterback in the 1st round, you have him under contract for 5 years at a much more affordable price than Brock Purdy. Subi Zero, should we trade for Joel Petunio or Shaq Mason? Those are 2 offensive linemen who could help. My dream trade target, if you're the Niners and you want to get your center for the future, it'd be Jackson Powers-Johnson. Kyle Shanahan has valued the center spot a little bit. Weston Richburg got paid. Alex Mack was brought in. And Jackson Powers-Johnson would be a phenomenal safety or center and a safety valve along the offensive line for San Francisco. Now, the Raiders have been using him at guard. I have no idea why. He won the Remington Trophy for the best center in college football at Oregon. I thought he was a phenomenal center coming out of Oregon. But Chip Kelly continues to insist on playing him at guard. I don't like it. And because of that, JPJ is unhappy. If you could get him, here's an idea, right? He was a 2nd-round pick. What if you traded a 2nd-round pick for JPJ? You're giving up a 2nd-round pick for a guy who was a 2nd-round pick recently. And he's 22 years old. He was taken last year. So he's still under contract the next 2 years. I'd give that up. If you're going to draft a center in the 2nd round in 2026, give up a 2nd rounder for Jackson Powers-Johnson. Devon Curry, what about Campbell?
I'm not sure if he's talking about Jahad Campbell. This one came in on Eagles.
Are you talking about Jahad Campbell?
Not a lot of Campbells out there.
Not Will Campbell, right? Patriots aren't trading him. He's played well. Are you saying trade Jahad Campbell? I wouldn't trade Jahad Campbell either. I really like him as a player. Right now, I think Vic Fangio might decide to go with Nakobe Dean at off-ball linebacker. But also, let's see what Vic Fangio does once the Eagles get reinforcements back at edge. Because they were using Campbell, one of the smaller edge rushers in the game, if he were to play there, because they didn't have enough bodies there. Oh, Calais Campbell, Andrew Nathan? Calais Campbell is an ageless wonder. Calais Campbell's one of the best players of all time. He's going to be a Hall of Famer, member of the 2010s All-Decade team. He had a nice power rip move to sack Dak Prescott last night. But with the Cardinals winning and Jacoby Brissett playing well, I think they hold on to him because they're holding out hopes that they can make the playoffs. I actually think Jonathan Gannon's done a pretty damn good job with Arizona. I just don't think that Kyler Murray is good. I think he stinks. Cheryl, thank you very much, guys, for your dedicated work. Love you too. Go Birds. Hey, Cheryl, we're here for people like you and all of the real ones who continue to support the program here.
Cheryl.
Jeremiah Garcia, do you think A.J. Dillon becomes a trade option with Tank Bigsby having the type of game he did? Yes. Because the running back rotation right now is Saquon Barkley, Tank Bigsby, Will Shipley. A.J. Dillon has been a healthy scratch the last 2 games. And the Eagles only have 1 roster spot open right now. And they have to bring Nolan Smith, Jacorian Bennett, and Jalen Phillips onto the 53. So are the Eagles done making moves as far as trading for players? We'll see. Reuniting with Zach Ertz would be awesome. Trading for an offensive lineman could make sense. Trading for a safety or a backup tight end could make a lot of sense. The reunion with Ertz would be awesome. I think he's 11 catches away from setting the Eagles' all-time record. But keep in mind, the Eagles might also trade players away in order to open up roster spots. A.J. Jones, $2. Thought that was a Four Loko. I was going to grab one too. It is not a Four Loko. Not a Four Loko. But I am a part of the First Form family. So if anybody wants any workout gear, any supplements, any health and wellness stuff, you can visit my link. If I get to 17 purchases from other people, they'll sponsor me. I'm at like 3 or 4 so far right now. So that link is in the chat. If you want to make a purchase, you'd help me out personally. Greens powders, proteins powders, vitamins, workout gear, they have it all. Great company. We do the work. AJ, don't let me stop you. Get your Four Loko if you want, my brother. And if you do, cheers. AB, $5 super chat. Would the Niners be in a position to sign Trey Hendrickson long-term if they traded for him? Yes. Yes. So, obviously he's a free agent after the year, which you had mentioned. He wanted a contract extension with Cincy. All they did was give him a little bit of a pay bump and guarantee his salary for 2025. The Niners are in a pretty good spot from a cap standpoint, despite eating, $80 million? Somewhere in that neighborhood of dead money. They have $21.9 million in cap right now. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th in the NFL. Next year, they are slotted to have $38 million in cap space, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14th in the NFL. But also keep in mind that cap space can be carried over. And so let's say the Niners didn't make a move and they carried over that 21.9 to the existing 38.1. They would be top 10 in cap space. And you think about the players who they're paying on defense, right? The only players who are making some good coin on defense, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Deommodore Lenoir. Outside of that, everybody's cheap and or under a rookie contract. Also, because the Niners have missed on some draft picks of late, they don't have any player who is contract extension eligible who's young, who they're going to be in a pinch to pay. They paid George Kittle. They paid Fred Warner. They paid Brock Purdy. There are no big contract extension candidates coming up for the Niners. Ricky Pearsall, after this year, if they exercise his 5th-year option, 3 more years left on his rookie contract. Dominic Pooney will be going into year 3, has 2 years left after this, hasn't played well. And so they'll have some cap space if they want to pay a player like that. But I think of what it comes down to, too, is what they give up for him and what the Bengals' asking price is. If it's a first-round pick, it's simply too steep. Joshua Wyatt, $5 super chat. Why not trade the first? I would rather see a pick swap with a 2nd or a 3rd coming back than give up an entire pick in the 2nd round. Why not the first? Because it's so valuable to have that first-round pick under contract for the next 5 years on a cost-controlled contract compared to Hendrickson, who would demand, I don't know, $30+ million per year. So that's kind of the issue that you run into there. Plus, the Niners reset the organization this past offseason. They got a lot of young players in here, and they want to continue to build through the draft. Why? You replenish the cupboard as far as talent goes, and those players are under cost-controlled contracts. EJ Firestorm, $1,000, $5 super chat. If I'm John Lynch, trade for Kayvon Thibodeau. Send Jauan Jennings and 2/3. Then re-sign him. So you wouldn't have to re-sign him just yet. Kayvon Thibodeau is under contract for next year. Obviously, he would be extension eligible after this season. He's a young player with good size who can get after the quarterback, who's solid against the run, who I would like if I'm San Francisco. The Giants' asking price might be pretty high, though, because they know he's under contract next year, and he was the 5th overall pick. We got a blockbuster?
We got a blockbuster. It's a player we talked about earlier, and it's a team that I think fans of both channels would be pretty upset about.
Quinnen Williams to the Cowboys?
Quinnen Williams to the Dallas Cowboys.
Holy
Are you kidding
shit.
me? Are you kidding me?
Holy shit. Quinnen Williams to the Dallas Cowboys. That'll make Dallas better, and that'll improve their run defense. He can also get after the quarterback.
Jets just fire sale.
Wow.
Got to be for a first-round pick.
Yeah, it has to be.
Cowboys do have 2 first-round picks. Theirs and the Packers, of course. Wow.
I got to see this draft compensation here, but that is a huge trade for Dallas.
Wow.
Holy moly. Now, if he goes for a first, you could see why San Francisco's not trading for Quinnen Williams.
Rappaport says it's a first-round pick and more.
Okay. Rappaport saying the Jets insisted it would take a mammoth offer to move their star. They trade 2 of them, both with insane offers.
Wow.
Jay Glazer reported that first. They've also agreed to parameters on the trade, sending Quinnen Williams to the Cowboys. Don't you just love the NFL? Don't you just love the NFL?
Gotta love it, man.
John Galt, I found Tim Timme last night? No, you didn't. You found Tim Timme? What is he up to? Where is he? And what's he been doing? He's now a moderator on Philly 500? That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Shariah Patel, give me a shout out. There you go. There's your shout out.
Dude, the Jets are just loading up on picks.
Jets are loading up.
Reset the organization. Just tearing it all down, man. I can respect it.
I need to see what this trade compensation is.
Yeah, all we know right now is that it's a 2026 first plus more.
Going back to what I had tweeted out to, the NFL continues to take a dump on the NBA. took over the Christmas schedule, made it a nearly year-round sport with constant demand and attention. The NFL draft and NFL free agency dominates the NBA draft and NBA free agency. And now the NFL has made the trade deadline better than the NBA trade deadline. It's so much better. The NBA trade deadline doesn't have the lore that it used to have. The NFL trade deadline today, Quinnen Williams traded to the Jets, Sauce Gardner traded to the Colts, Jakobi Meyers to the Jags. And there's still a lot to happen here.
Man. So you got Quinnen, Kenny Clark, obviously rebuilding that D-line. Cowboys, what, 3-5-1 right now?
Cowboys are 3-5-1. Still don't know what these trade details are. Cowboys sending at least a first-round pick to the Jets.
Is it going to keep coming for the Jets, too? I mean, Breece Hall's been a guy that's been talked about being traded. Obviously, Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald. I mean, they're just loading out. Jets will have 3 first-round picks now in this year's draft.
How about this from Jake Rosenberg, who used to work under Howie Roseman and is a cap genius? He said the Jets-Colts trade is probably the most perplexing and indefensible trade I've ever seen. At the moment, I actually think it's worse than the Parsons trade. I will say this. 2 first-round picks for a corner who hasn't played that well the last couple of years. That's why I like this move for New York. That's why I think it's actually a smart move for the Jets. For the Colts, obviously you're going all in. But it's a lot to give up for a corner. I'm waiting for Colin Cowherd to react to Quinnen Williams to the Cowboys. Oh, no, he has it up there. Okay. Man, the Jets are just completely selling, and they needed to. I like it.
Shocking, man.
Okay, so Glazer, teams are still finalizing compensation, but as of now, the Cowboys are trading a second-round pick this year and a first-round pick next year for Quinnen Williams.
Okay, so 2027 first.
Yeah, 2026 second, it looks like, and a 2027 first.
Yeah.
Which you kind of like from the Eagles' standpoint, right? Yes, they got some draft ammunition for that Micah Parsons trade. But are the Cowboys that close to competing? That defense stinks. Quinnen Williams is going to make them a little bit better. But he's also very expensive. You had Micah Parsons. And you now just trade for Quinnen Williams.
They must have really disliked Micah Parsons.
Oh,
man.
yeah, they just didn't like Micah. So, Quinnen Williams' contract. He, just got a massive extension. He signed a 4-year, $96 million deal. Average annual value of $24 million. Now, that's nearly half of what Parsons got from the Green Bay Packers. So, obviously, you have to weigh that, too. But who would you rather have on your defense? Would you rather have Quinnen Williams or Micah Parsons? I'd rather have Micah Parsons. Matty Ice, shout out to you. I see you in there.
Wow, I'm just shocked.
That is insane.
We do have a bunch of super chats that came in.
That trade graphic is going to hit. Per Diana Rossini, the price for Quinnen Williams per source, 2026 second, 2027 first. The Cowboys are 3-5-1.
Guess that's why they avoided giving up their first this season, but
So of course, everybody right now is looking up Quinnen Williams' contract on Spotrac, so the site is crashing. This year, Quinnen Williams, overall PFF grade of 79.7. This is where Dallas needs to improve. It's with that run defense, which has been bad for a while. That's why they traded for Kenny Clark. A run defense grade of 90.8. Pass rush grade, 57.1. He has 25 stops, phenomenal. 16 hurries, 2 quarterback hits and 19 total pressures. 150 run defense snaps, 215 pass rush snaps. What's weird is that in 2024, his run defense grade was 57.5. His pass rush grade, 76.1. 2023, run defense grade of 90.4, pass rush grade 84.5. So he's got a long track record of being a really good run defender, and honestly, let's call a spade. An excellent all-around defensive tackle. He will be 28 in a couple of months. Third overall pick back in 2019. And had recently signed that huge contract extension.
Oh, and Mozzie Smith headed to the Jets.
Mozzie Smith headed to the Jets as well. A bust. Remember when Cowboys fans said that Mozzie Smith would be better than Jalen Carter? I remember. Here's another big thing, too, with Quinnen Williams. His cap number this year, it's affordable. $8.4 million. 2026 cap number, $21.75. 2027, $25.5 million. It's a steep price tag. Look, I like Quinnen Williams as a player. I just don't get what the Cowboys are doing.
Okay, so this is the full details right here.
That's what we're looking at there.
Mozzie Smith, a 2026 second, future first.
Ricky Scoops was on it again.
Ricky.
October 30th, he said, boo, Cowboys, Niners, both expected to add defensive linemen before Tuesday's deadline. Breece Hall not expected to be traded today. If you're going to trade away Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams, might as well trade a running back who you didn't extend and is going to be a free agent after the year.
Man. The Jets will have 2 firsts this year, 2 seconds this year, 3 firsts in 2027. That 2027 draft, man, Going to have the likes of Ryan Williams, Jeremiah Smith.
Yep.
Those top receivers there. I'm sure they're probably looking ahead to quarterback. Obviously this year and next. Rebuilding that team, man.
What a day for the Jets.
Exciting time. I think it's an exciting time for Jets fans all of a sudden. Can you say that for a 1-7 football team?
Oh, dude. I mean, if I were a Jets fan, this is the most excited I've been in a long time. They've had no hope, but this gives you some hope. Again, we'll get to your Super Chats coming up here in a bit.
This is just, wow.
There we go. I want to tweet out our trade graphic.
My dad said it in the Super. Cowboys fan. Jerry Jones. Terrible owner. Can they trade Jones away? You not liking these moves here? Quinnen. Logan Wilson's whatever. Could have just had Parsons, though. Now you don't have a first-round pick in 2027. Quinnen Williams is he's a young player. Young-ish. He's like, what, 27? Actually kind of older than I thought. But, obviously can still be around for a while. And you still have 2 first-round picks this year if you're Dallas. You have yours. You have the Packers, which I imagine going to be at the back end of the first round, but.
Huh.
I hear they're trading Jerry Jones for Dan Snyder. So, wow. Wow.
Quinnen Williams is a fantastic player. At 3-5-1, I don't understand what the Cowboys' direction is.
We are an hour and a half away. From the trade deadline. Are the Niners going to do something? Are the Eagles going to make another move? They've already made a bunch already, of course.
So, Quinnen Williams cap hits the next 2 years. 21.75, 25.5. And that 21.75 is 2026. The 25.5 is in 27.
You know what made this the craziest deadline ever? If the Raiders trade Maxx Crosby.
Oh.
That would really put this over the top. That will put this over the top. Uh-oh. Ricky.
What'd he say?
Sounds like the Jets have another big trade incoming.
That's got to be for Jermaine Johnson.
Jermaine Johnson, maybe to the Niners. Some speculation. Ricky's been I would say relatively quiet, but he's still been firing out some tweets today. So watch out for another Jets trade. Gotta be Jermaine Johnson. Wow.
Huh. All right, let's get back to your super chats here. Almost 2,000 people watching live on the 49ers Report, 1,600 people watching live on Philadelphia Eagles. Now,
Real quick.
another blockbuster. Cowboys receiving Quinnen Williams, Jets receiving Mozzie Smith, a 2026 second-round pick, and a future first-round pick. We'll get to your super chats here in just a moment. 60 seconds. We'll get back to your super chats, but let's tell you about Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, and the sponsor of our NFL trade deadline coverage. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. How you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the Power Play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. Prize Picks is also the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You want to pick more on Christian McCaffrey's receiving yards, rush yards, and touchdowns? Now you can do that. Thursday Night Football action. Bo Nix more than 21.5 passing completions. Ashton Genty more than 24.5 receiving yards. Brock Bowers more than 6.5 catches. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Sean Grazier, $5 super chat. Much appreciated, my brother. Hope all is well with you. Thank you for that. Jason Gamage with a $5 donation. Thank you, Jason. Devon Curry with the additions. Does Jahad Campbell go back to linebacker with Dean playing well? Yes, I think he's more so used at off-ball linebacker than edge rusher because you think about the Eagles' edge rusher rotation now. Jalen Phillips and Nolan Smith will start. You have Jalix Hunt, Josh Uche after that. And then you have Brandon Graham as the 5th pass rusher. So now I think Jahad Campbell goes back to off-ball linebacker to be the depth piece behind Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean, because I do think Dean has made this defense better, especially against the run the last 2 games. Addison Hoover, $2. Do you think that the Eagles could trade for Zach Ertz? I do think so, and I think it would be a fascinating trade. Washington's season is over. Jaden Daniels, 3rd injury, hurt his hammy, hurt his knee, dislocated elbow, non-throwing arm. It was really, really ugly. And it's good for him that it's the non-throwing arm because the UCL, the Tommy John ligament, not impacted there. But it's one of the oldest teams in the NFL. They're really struggling, reeling right now. They could trade some veterans, and the Eagles could use a good tight end too. The problem is, ideally, I think the Eagles would like a tight end too who's a good blocker. Zach Ertz, never known for being a great blocker. He's pretty much a slot wideout. Justin Moore, $10 super chat. Chase and Chip. How is everything, guys? Hope everything is excellent. I think the Eagles are going to be champs again and again. Go Birds. Everything is great with us. It's awesome to hang out with everybody. 90 minutes to go until the NFL trade deadline and until that buzzer sounds. Yeah, everything's excellent. And I think the Eagles have a great opportunity to go back-to-back. I think they've looked really good the last 2 games. I think they've started to find something for sure. And I think they're in a good spot. Dennis Designs, $20 super chat. Hey, guys, went up to Georgia to see Messer Chups and met them, the band. Then had a blast for my Halloween birthday. Saw all your reports. Thanks. Go Birds. Dude, hope you had a great time at the concert. And happy birthday to you, Messer Chups.
Happy birthday.
So it's a rock band. Okay. A surf rock band from St. Petersburg, Russia, formed in 1998. Formed by composer and guitarist Oleg Fomchenkov. Sounds like a good time, man. I'm always down to jam to some music. Joe Lord, $2 super chat. He's our Lord. Jets fire sale today. Sauce trade was crazy comp. 2 first-round picks for him and a first-round pick for Quinnen Williams. The Jets have netted 3 first-rounders today. So they'll have their own first in 2026 and a Colts first in 2026. Then in 2027, their own first, the Cowboys first, and the Colts first.
Yep.
Wow.
And they're not done. Connor Hughes reporting they have offers on the table already. Multiple offers on the table for Jermaine Johnson and Breece Hall.
Wow.
Just a matter of if they accept them or not.
Wow. Jeff Chipper, great player, terrible owner, Jerry Jones. Can they trade Jerry Jones away? Great show. Jeff Chipper, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the super chat. And I'd like to say that I'm sorry that you're a Cowboys fan. But Jeff, you have to live with your choices in life. And that was your choice. You could have easily, with your son being an Eagles fan, rooted on the Eagles. You decided to stay firm with Dallas. But I respect you staying true to your original fandom.
Interesting right here.
Let's hear it.
Update to the Quinnen Williams trade. The Jets will be I don't know if I've ever seen this happen in the NFL. I've seen this in the NBA with these kind of protections, I guess you could say. But the Jets will be getting the higher of the Cowboys' 2 first-round picks in 2027, either theirs or the Packers. Got to imagine it's probably the Cowboys' pick will be the better one, but if somehow the Packers collapse and their first-round pick is better than the Cowboys, that one will go to the Jets. So the Jets will get the better of the 2 first-round picks
Okay.
that the Cowboys own in 2027.
Okay. Yeah, that's even better leverage, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Even
even
better
better for the
ammunition.
Jets, because if somehow Green Bay is worse than Dallas in 2027, or I guess in 2026, leading up to the 2027 draft, they will get the better of those 2 picks. I don't know if I've ever seen that in the NFL. It's common in the NBA for that sort of thing to happen, but I don't know if I've ever seen that happen in the NFL. So interesting there. Oh,
Has
wow.
to be the best day for Jets fans in quite some time. What do we got now?
Now Breece Hall tweeted, then deleted. I don't even know what to call this emoji right here. Kind of looking a little depressed.
Let me see. Yeah, like a sad emoji.
Little sad face.
A sad emoji.
Maybe Breece Hall is upset that he's not getting traded and he's not going to have to stick around in New York.
So, I'm tweeting this out right now. Best day for Jets fans in quite some time. After the Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams trades, here's what their draft capital is looking like. 2026 draft. Own first-round pick. Colts first-round pick. 2027 draft. Own first-round pick. Colts first-round pick. And the Cowboys first-round pick.
Wow. And now Tom Pelissero reporting that the Jets not expected to trade Breece Hall. So maybe that's what the tweet was.
Maybe he's sad that he's not the one getting dealt.
Breece is pissed. He's not getting out of New York.
He knows the season is over and he's screwed.
But Schultz reporting that the Jets are currently working on another deal. Trying to make another move right now.
Wow.
Crazy. Jets just headlining today's trade deadline.
I mean, Niners have to make a move. What are you doing, John Lynch? Hour 23 minutes to go until the deadline. Have to trade for a pass rusher.
Star players are coming off the board.
I mean, can you imagine if the Niners don't trade for a pass rusher with all this movement here today?
I get it's not really up to the Niners. It's more up to the Raiders. But if you're the Niners, do you just throw 2 first-round picks, maybe even additional compensation to the Raiders to try to pry Maxx Crosby?
Oh, I would give up 2 first-rounders for Maxx Crosby. Yeah, I would give up 2 first-rounders for Maxx Crosby.
Now, obviously, it's been reported that he doesn't want to leave and they don't want to trade Crosby, but, man.
Yeah, and again, that 2027 first-round pick going to New York, the better of the Cowboys and Packers picks. Jeffo, $2 super chat. I love this. Shout out to the real ones watching at work and school. How awesome is that? If you're watching from school right now, I want you to type me. And I don't want to be a negative influence on anybody, but if I were you, I would be doing the same exact thing if I was in school. Because when I was in high school, I was obsessed with sports. But get this. When I was in high school, I didn't have a smartphone. I had like the Envy where you slid your phone up and had a keyboard. I couldn't watch YouTube on my phone. But if it was possible for me to do that, I definitely would try to sneak in an earbud to listen to a show to try to stay up to date with everything that's happening on deadline day. Also, the trade deadline when I was growing up wasn't really a thing. Now that we've seen all these younger GMs, they're so much more aggressive, and it's made the product so much better, so much more fun to watch.
Wow.
Jeff Chipper, we got to that super chat. Sean Grazier, do you think the Jets will trade Wilson? Why not? Look, they paid Sauce Gardner this offseason. They traded, they signed Garrett Wilson to an extension as well this offseason because they were both in the same draft class. I'm not ruling anything out with the Jets. And if I'm Garrett Wilson, I would love to not play for the Jets any longer because I think that he could be a top 10 wideout somewhere else. I think that he could be a phenomenal player somewhere else. But dysfunction, bad quarterback play, hasn't really had a chance. Rice Street, $10 super chat. Just say something good about the Falcons. They have cool uniforms.
There you go.
That matte black helmet, it's fresh. Other than that, they stink. Joe Lord, $5 super chat. I'd like some offensive line depth, but who's actually out there that we could trade for? And do we even have a roster spot at this point?
This is
well, you'd find a way to clear up a roster spot, Joe. If Jackson Powers-Johnson is available, that's the offensive lineman who I would like to go after. Joel Petunio is another offensive lineman who could be available. But, yeah, the Eagles don't have a lot of roster spots open. They might have to trade players away or outright cut some players in order to open up some roster spots. Jeffo, shout out to the real ones watching at work and school. Sorry, I missed this. If you're watching at school right now, I want you to type me in the comment section. Type me in the comment section if you're watching from school. Don't lie.
Who's in the cubicle right now? Hiding their phone.
Kimberly Novi, Sahaj, Dylan, Love Music, Amir, Mason, Cooper, all watching at school. A lot of people watching from work, which is great. Deffy, one JJ left. Curly, watching from school too. If your teacher gets mad at you, just tell him. Chase Sr. of Chat Sports told me that since it's the NFL trade deadline, I'm excusing them from class and you're allowed to watch this show. You heard that from me. The best influence out there. Caleb Scheel, $5 super chat. Yo, Chase, I heard on the news about a box truck in South Philly trying to go down a narrow street, messed up some cars. Hopefully your ride is safe. My car wasn't there. It's in a garage underground. I'm all good. So, thankfully, I'm okay. And hopefully Larry Krasner gets voted out today. I don't want to get political, but the crime rate in Philadelphia is a joke right now. Ugh. He stinks. Joshua Wilkinson, back-to-back is a lock. Go Birds. They've got a great opportunity to go back-to-back. And in the NFC, if the Eagles play their best, I don't think a team is up to their level. I think the Rams are close. I think the Seahawks are close. I think the Packers, when they're on, are there. The Lions, when they're clicking, they're scary. But if the Eagles can get home field advantage, tough place to go in January, playing in Philly. I'll tell you that.
Diana Rossini now reporting that the Jets are asking for a third-round pick for Breece Hall. Teams have yet to meet that asking price. We're just over an hour to go to the deadline, so maybe he could be on the move if they do get that asking price. Third-round pick for a guy, coming out of college was looked at as one of the next great running backs in the NFL.
Yeah.
Hasn't quite panned out, dealt with some injuries, but...
Daryl McCollum, $10 here.
Getting to the Niners side of things now on these Super Chats.
Who else would be a good grab for the defensive line? Where'd that come in from?
Niners.
Jermaine Johnson, Bradley Chubb, Arnold Ebiketie, Trey Hendrickson, obviously, the top trade target out there. Those are kind of the names that I've talked about on the show that I think make the most sense. Arden Key for San Francisco if you want to reunite with him. Yeah, I think those are all good options there, Daryl. You got to make a trade. I mean, with all this movement, hour and 16 minutes to go until the deadline, you have to make a move. Gustavo Gonzalez, Ayuk, Yetur Gross-Matos, 2 1s for Garrett Wilson, Quinnen Williams, and JJ. Quinnen Williams got dealt. If you're talking about Quincy Williams, here's the problem. Ayuk, hurt. Yetur Gross-Matos, hurt. The 2 firsts might be able to get you Garrett Wilson and Quinnen Williams, but I still think that offer might fall short as well. Kalane, Niners need to find a way to get Quincy Williams. See, I think you got to look at defensive line first and think about the rest later. I think that you can get by with this linebacking core. Tatum Bethune is a solid player. D. Winters up and down, but a solid player. You're giving Luke Gifford some snaps from time to time. I don't know what's going on with Nick Martin. Only the Niners know. Obviously, he's a little bit raw. But I think you need a pass rusher. Because that makes your linebacker's job easier. It makes the secondary's job easier. And it just helps out the rest of your defense. That's the spot where you need to upgrade. San Fran 49, $2. Chances of the Niners getting 2 edge rushers, I'd say thin. I mean, look, they already traded for Keon White, so that's 1, right? If they trade for another, that's 2 trade pieces right there. I don't think they trade for 3 in total. Would I be shocked? No. I just don't think they trade for 3 total. Greedy Greg. Would a second rounder in 27 be possible for Trey? According to reports, the Bengals want to win. And if you give up a second rounder, I think they'd want it to be 2026 to get somebody immediately for Trey Hendrickson, not have to wait a year. So the second, probably not enough. And then if it is enough, they probably want it to be sooner rather than later. Rick Nyers, $10 super chat. Last time the Niners had an ex-Bengals defensive lineman, it went pretty good. Go get Trey and maybe Johnson from the Jets since they are fire selling. With what the Jets have done today, you got to get them on the phone and see what the price tag is. And so if you're the Niners and you have this clear need for a pass rusher and you're at 6-3 right now, it'd be inexcusable for John Lynch to not make a move because players are going off the board left and right. You have these teams that are clearly selling. Rick Nyers, you're the man. Justin Cheeseman, $5. Lynch should trade our first-round pick for Hendrickson since he can't draft well in the first round. A lot of people have said that. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't give up a first-rounder for a 30-year-old defensive end who you would then be forced into having to pay. If it's a second-rounder, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. But you look at some of these teams, too, across the NFL. They're getting better. Niners have to get better. Philadelphia Eagles have gotten better. Dallas Cowboys got better. Marcus Alvarado, after that Dallas trade, should the Niners trade for Jermaine Johnson? Yes. And I put out a video earlier. Feels like it's going to be Jermaine Johnson or Bradley Chubb. What the Niners could be doing, too, waiting until the deadline gets closer to see if the value goes down for any of these players, to see what other teams do, if other teams get desperate, and then you pounce and make your move. BLK9 or $2. Do you think this is our year, trade or no trade? I think they should make a trade. I would make a trade if I'm the Niners because you're at 6-3 right now, and you've got plenty of meat left on the bone as far as your season goes. Do I think the Niners are going to win a Super Bowl this year? I do not. But I do think they're building towards something, especially if they can figure out this insane injury problem. Antonio Munoz can't draft running back anyways. Go get Breece Hall, please. You have Christian McCaffrey. Look at what Brian Robinson did on Sunday. You don't need to trade for a running back. Trinity Parrish, $5. Hey, Chase, watch it from my college physics class. I think we still need help on the safety position, but I want your thoughts. Go Birds. Whoever sends in a super chat while you're at class or in school, I love it because that's exactly what I would be doing if I was a student in college or in high school. Shoot, some people might be watching from middle school. Plus, NFL trade deadline day, so much more interesting than physics. That's got to be one of those required credits for a class, unless you're into that stuff. If you are, that's cool. For me, that was never the case. But safety position, if you're Howie Roseman, you made the trade for Jalen Phillips. Do you see how much it would cost for Minkah Fitzpatrick? Minkah Fitzpatrick, best days probably behind him, but he's 28 years old, does turn 29 November 17th, 3-time first-team All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, most recently an All-Pro in 2022, most recently a Pro Bowler in 2024. He's been an interception wizard, and I saw some people saying, why stunt the growth of Andrew Makuba? Why? Because you're going all in to try to win a Super Bowl this year. That's why. And he's really struggled mightily in coverage. Howie's made 9 trades since training camp. If he thinks he needs to improve at safety, he'll improve at safety. If he rolls with Makuba and Blankenship, then he has confidence, and Vic Fangio has confidence in those guys back there. Boye, Maxx Crosby for a draft pick and Purdy to clear cap. See, somebody asked earlier, how about a Purdy trade to the Browns? If I'm Cleveland, if I were running their operation, I'd never do that. Smaller quarterback who's been hurt, who doesn't have a bazooka for an arm, in probably the worst climate of any stadium, any city, any team in the NFL. Now, you trade him to Vegas, you are playing indoors. But you also have to go on the road to play Kansas City and on the road to play Denver. Gets cold. You play indoors on the road inside the AFC West at SoFi. Now, I wouldn't trade Purdy if I'm the Niners. I don't think the Raiders would trade for Purdy because they just paid Geno Smith, and it's not possible. But if you do trade Purdy, I think the acquiring team has to have a lot of cap space, obviously, but it has to be a decent climate. Like trading Purdy to Pittsburgh, for instance, doesn't make sense. You have to play in Pittsburgh, in Cincy, in Cleveland, in Baltimore. Plus, I don't think a first and Purdy would get it done for Maxx Crosby. James Caps, $2. Niners won't make a trade. We'll see if your prediction rings true. I think it'd be insane with all this movement, all these trades that we've seen today, if John Lynch didn't make a move. That would kind of be waving the white flag on the season, in my opinion. Nigel Crane, $2. If not a defensive end, what about Asante Samuel Jr.? So he's been medically cleared. Jeremy Fowler listed it, I think it was him, spine, not neck, spine. Obviously neck connected to the spine. But I thought that was interesting wording because he did get neck surgery, visiting with teams, and he could sign soon. I like him as a player. I think he's really good. But obviously, anytime you're a football player, especially a defender, and you've had a neck surgery, you've had a stinger problem for a while, you had shoulder surgery as well, that's a little bit concerning. But Asante Samuel Jr. is still very young. Nate Malkowski, $2 super chat. Let's go Birds. Let's kick some ass. Yes, sir. Kick some ass, man. Jessica, we need Trey and Minka. Low key for the Niners, their safety play has been really bad this year. Marquise Siegel went from starting every game to being a healthy scratch against the Giants. Now, I like him. I thought in coverage, he was in a spot where he can make plays on the football, but clearly not really ready yet. Minka makes you better. Hendrickson makes you better. And that makes the Niners defense a factor in the NFC if you make moves like that. Because also on offense, you're coming off a game where you had your best offensive performance of the year. And you think that you can get better, right? IU coming back, hopefully at some point soon. Ricky Pearsall could play against the Los Angeles Rams. And so if you get better on defense, organically you get better on offense. You almost look at Pearsall and Ayuk as like trade deadline acquisitions on offense. Black Mask, $5. You know, teams could be snubbing our Niners knowing their situation. I don't know. No. What teams want right now? Black Mask, value. The Jets just paid Sauce Gardner, but they said Adonai Mitchell and 2 first-round picks, say less. A first, a second, and Mozzie Smith for Quinnen Williams, okay. For Jakobi Meyers, the Jags, they send the Raiders a 4th and a 6th. We'll do that. Teams don't have it out for the Niners because think of it this way too, right? You think teams want to trade with Howie Roseman right now? With how often he fleeces teams across the NFL? No. But Howie's a good negotiator, and Howie knows what equal value looks like. Daniel Selfridge, $20 super chat. My man. Appreciate you.
Just keep flying in here.
Super chats continue to fly in.
She got back-to-back 20s from Daniel. 2 separate 20s. Here.
And then Daniel with another 20. Daniel. You're the man. You're the man. Our trade deadline coverage has been awesome, man. Both streams, around 2,000 people watching live. Great to see. The growth of the channels has been incredible over the last couple of years.
Awesome stuff today.
Nate Malkowski, $2 super chat. I wish the Eagles were able to get Myles Garrett. Nate, let me ask you this. Myles Garrett is one of the best players ever. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He has 8 straight years of 10-plus sacks. Do you want to give up 3 first-round picks for Myles Garrett? Or would you rather give a third, and if Jalen Phillips leaves, you get a third-round comp pick back for a player who can help you, obviously not to the level of Myles Garrett, but much more affordable? Plus, Myles Garrett's making $40+ million per year. You trade for him, you might not be able to afford a Jordan Davis. I still think you pay Jalen Carter, but in the future, you might have to choose between one of Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Alex Maya, $5. I feel the locker room would be pissed if we didn't get anybody. So I think the Niners will trade for an okay player, but not true needle movers. That's an underrated thing when you make trades. When you make a move, it shows the players in the locker room that the guys upstairs, owner, GM, front office, and the coaching staff believes in them. And that gets some juices flowing from a competitive standpoint. And so look, if the Niners don't trade for Trey Hendrickson, that's fine, because the asking price might be too high. But if you can't land Bradley Chubb or Jermaine Johnson, a player like that, that to me is a big miss. Let's take a look at our Super Chat battle. We're live on the 49ers Report. We're live on Eagles Now. Some people might call me a traitor since I host a show on both channels. I just call myself a content daddy. 49ers Report at $280 in Super Chats. Eagles Now at $167. Which channel is going to win our Super Chat battle? Obviously, anytime you send in a Super Chat, we really, really appreciate it. And it goes a long way in supporting what we do here at Chat Sports.
Got some more coming in on Niners. Get to those here in 1 sec.
So the blockbusters today, Sauce Gardner to the Colts, Quinnen Williams to the Cowboys, Jakobi Meyers, wouldn't call it a blockbuster, but a big trade, to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's see here. See if we have any more buzz.
Jordan Schultz to report that Bryce Hall wants to be traded.
Breece Hall?
Bryce Hall. That's a TikToker.
Bryce Hall's a TikToker?
And he's obviously the pass rusher as well. That's Puff, but yeah.
Yeah, Breece Hall, a notable name. Bradley Chubb, Jermaine Johnson, Rick Woolen for Seattle. Seattle making a move for Rashid Shaheed today. Maybe look out for the Broncos to make a move for a wide receiver. Niners for a pass rusher.
Coming up on an hour left in the deadline.
How about this from Albert Breer? The new Jets brass is basically telling you the talent they inherited was overrated. Whether that's true or not is a matter of opinion. But dealing off 2 of your 3 highest paid players at 27, Quinnen Williams, 24, Sauce Gardner, screams that. Maybe, Albert, but it could just signal that the Jets want to reset. And they're resetting here with draft picks and from a salary cap standpoint.
Want to hear some other interesting news that dropped today?
Yes.
Tom Brady revealed that he cloned his dog.
Cloned his dog.
So Brady's dog, Lua, passed away in December of 2023. He revealed today that his current dog, Junie, is a clone of that dog. He worked with Colossal Biosciences, which Brady invests in, and leveraged their non-invasive cloning technology through a simple blood draw of the dog that passed away to clone somehow.
That is insane.
A new dog.
I mean, that's one of those things that you do when you have so much money. you're like, F it, dude. Let's clone our dog.
I mean, that's insane.
I'm a big dog guy. I love dogs. And when you lose a dog, it really is like losing a family member. But that's wild. That's wild. Luke Gotti, 49ers have to make a move. It's desperation at this point. I agree. Have to make a move for a pass rusher. Have to make a move for a pass rusher. Joshua Wyatt, $5. Everybody wants Jermaine Johnson or Will McDonald, but the Niners are shopping in the bargain bin. Bet they get Michael Clemens for a conditional 7. Oh, man. Yeah, Michael Clemens is 28. Zero sacks this year, 4.5 last year, a half sack in 2023, 2.5 in 2022. Rick Nyers, at this point, I would be happy with Chubb and Johnson. I see what you did there. Jorge, Chase, I hope you're right about us waiting last minute. I think it's going to be last minute to see if any prices drop.
Got an hour. You don't need to rush it. Work those negotiations. Whew. What a deadline. Under an hour to go. Been live for over, or just about 2 hours here. Today is also Diddy's birthday.
Whose birthday?
Diddy.
Diddy. The infamous Diddy. Boyett, it's unfair to Saleh if we don't make any moves. I tweeted that out. It is unfair to Robert Saleh if you don't get him some help. Give him some ingredients. Let him cook. Rick Nyers, $5. At this point, I would be happy with Chubb and Johnson. That's probably the most creative super chat we've gotten all day. Chubb and Johnson. Drama, $5. I 100% would trade 3 first-rounders for Garrett. Don't forget players like Jalen Reagor can come out of the first round. You make a good point, and when you're drafting players, it's obviously never a guarantee. Any player that you draft in the first round over the next 3 years might not be as good as Myles Garrett. But it's also a risk because of the price that you pay him, what you give up for him, and how not having first-round picks can really diminish how you're able to load up your roster.
What's up?
And you think about some of the recent first-round picks for the Eagles, right? Jalen Carter, stud.
No.
Nolan Smith, really good player. Jahad Campbell looking damn good. Devontae Smith, a baller. You miss out on getting those players who have been cost-controlled assets, it can really hurt you. Mark Bonson, late to the party. Who is left to trade for? For the Niners, Jermaine Johnson, Bradley Chubb, probably the 2 top trade targets there. Joel Petunio at offensive line. Jackson Powers-Johnson at offensive line. Arnold Ebiketie, probably an affordable player. Quincy Williams, if you want a linebacker, but he's kind of expensive. Blue Raven Gaming with the $5 super chat as well. We'll pop that up here in a moment.
What do you say, JOD? 3 first-round picks for Garrett. Call it a deal? Yeah, I don't think they would.
The Browns should do what the Jets are doing right now. Load up on draft picks. Now, Andrew Berry has a lot of draft picks, and they've done a good job of drafting some talented players. But the Browns are on a level playing field with the Jets, right? Future is murky. You don't have a quarterback unless we see what Shedeur can do later in the year. If you're a rebuilding team, why does it make sense to pay a soon-to-be 30-year-old pass rusher $40+ million a year? Howie Roseman wouldn't do that if the Eagles were a dumpster fire like the Browns or Jets. Mark Bonson, thanks for that. Isaac Santee, $10 super chat. Let's go Niners. Hopefully they get somebody to help them go win a Super Bowl. That's the thing. Do I think the Niners can win a Super Bowl this year? I don't. I think they're too injured. When you lose Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, it puts a ceiling over your heads. You don't know when Brock Purdy's going to come back. When he does come back, Kyle Shanahan even said he might be dealing with this turf toe the rest of the year. But at 6-3, you can at least make some noise. And I think an underrated thing is that if you have a young team, I think playoff reps are really important for these young players. Plus, you have Trent Williams, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, all older players. Why not try to do something in the dance with them? And when you get into the playoffs, you'll take Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh running your offense and defense almost against any other team across the NFL from a coaching standpoint. And that gives you a chance to beat anybody when you play well. Blue Raven Gaming, $5 super chat. If the 49ers don't trade, is this a sign they're calling the season a wash, and what happens? Also, love y'all from the panhandle of Texas. Blue Raven, thank you. I don't think it's quite them waving the white flag because they did sign Cleveland Ferrell last week, had a sack. They did add Keon White last week via a trade. He made an impact. But I think it's them admitting, we're just going to roll with what we have and we'll be content with just making the playoffs. Where if you make a trade, you're saying we're in this thing and we think that we can be competitive in the NFC. But today, inside your own division, the Seahawks got better. They traded for Rashid Shaheed, who's a blazing fast vertical threat, who's one of the more underrated, electrifying players in football. And they're already really, really good. And I've seen some people say, well, Chase, the Niners went on the road and beat Seattle in week 1. The Seattle Seahawks that we're seeing now, they are a better team than the Seahawks team that we saw in week 1. They're really good offensively, and they've gotten better defensively. They got better today. It's time for the Niners to get better. Joshua Wyatt, $5. My dog, Dachshund, is the best boy. He never barks at the door, always wears his Niners bandana on game day. I would clone him if I could afford it. See, Tom Brady has the cheddar to clone his dog. Not a lot of people have that type of money. I imagine that was thousands of dollars to do. And Joshua, I'm with you, man. I love dogs just like you love dogs. And when you have that special one, it changes your life. I can't wait to get a dog. I'm thinking about doing it during the off season when I have some time to train it and then go home and let it out during some work days. But man, the best boy, Dachshund. Shout out to him. Rocking that Niners bandana too. Never barking is always a plus. Renegade 21. What would we have to trade to get Big Dom? You know what's funny? Everybody rips Nick Sirianni for having Big Dom. You know what I've seen of late? A big increase of this? College coaches and NFL coaches now having bodyguards and security guys around them on the sideline. Big Dom was first. Big Dom's a legend. I've been around him a couple times. He's so friendly. He takes pictures with anybody who asks. He protects players. He helps the Eagles evaluate players. There was a time where the Eagles weren't sure whether or not to add Corey Clement as an undrafted free agent coming out of Wisconsin. He was a Jersey guy, and some people had questions about him. And Big Dom vouched for him. What did Corey Clement do? Well, had a really good rookie year. And in that Super Bowl 52 against the New England Patriots, had one of the best rookie performances for any rookie in the history of the Super Bowl. When things are hot inside the locker room, Big Dom calms things down. When the Eagles trade for Jalen Phillips, he goes and gets him at the airport. And then, of course, he gets interviewed by Johnny Airports. But Big Dom's a man. When Cam Scatterbo got hurt, Eagles fans are the worst, right? Eagles organization, the worst, right? Big Dom brought him food for him and his family. It's awesome. South Philly's own. Angel, $1 super chat. Thank you for that, Angel. You're our angel for sending in that super.
A great comment here from Editing Nirvana. Got my phone taken away for watching this in class, but tuned in on my Chromebook. By any means.
Tell your teacher that Chase Sr. said it's okay that you're watching the show. Who cares about class when it's the NFL trade deadline and you're waiting for your team to make a move? So if I need to write you a slip, if you got a detention, I'll write that for you. Jonathan, $2 super chat. Thoughts of the Jets trading Sauce Gardner? Dude, I mean, a blockbuster trade. That's one that was on nobody's radar, right? And I think going into today, there was maybe a little bit of chatter about the Jets maybe trading away a Quinnen Williams. But Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner, for me, my thoughts on it, I think it's a great move for the Jets. You're not going anywhere this year. You're not going anywhere anytime soon. And that's a Jets team that clearly has a lot of holes. That's a Jets team that does not have a quarterback. And so what have the Jets done? They have reset the books by trading away Sauce, trading away Quinnen Williams. They are making a lot of money, but you're loading up on draft capital to rebuild your football team, but also if there is a quarterback who you want to trade up for, you have the ammunition in order to do that. And this has to be the best day for Jets fans in quite some time because you just look at their first round picks that they have the next two drafts. 2026, their own first, the Colts first. Their own first will be a top 3 pick, most likely. The Colts first, end of the first round. There's a lot of value in having picks late in the first round. In 2027, they'll have their own first, the Colts first, and the Cowboys first, which will be the better of the Cowboys and Packers first round selection for 2027. So you are loaded up with draft capital to make your team a better all-around team with more depth, more young players who are cost-controlled assets, and you have the ammunition to move up in the draft if you need to. Alex Maya with the $10 super chat. It's nice to say we have our first few rounds, but I really don't trust the Niners to draft future stars unless they're late rounders. For the right price, I'm trading those picks. And that's been a conversation that we've been having all day. If you discount Ricky Pearsall, who's in year 2 and has been injured a lot, and I'm not counting the gunshot wound, he's been injured a lot since he got drafted by the Niners. You take him away because the jury is still out on him. The Niners have not hit on a first-round pick since Nick Bosa. And so a lot of Niner fans have said today, trade the first for a player like Trey Hendrickson. They've whiffed on all these first-rounders. Yes, they have. But the first-rounder is valuable because those players are under contract for 5 years if you exercise that fifth-year option at a very affordable price, and they can be impact players for you. So I think that's why the Niners have hit pause on doing something like that. Really? What happened with him? Damn. Angel with the $2 super chat. Thanks for that, Alex. Jackson Powers Johnson or Mekhi Becton. Go Birds, go Ducks. So obviously JPJ, an Oregon stud. And right now he's playing guard for the Las Vegas Raiders. He was one of the best center prospects coming out of Oregon in 2024 when he was a second-round pick. He won the Remington Trophy for the best center in college football. And I think that there's an argument to be made. He was the best center in college football. You have a player like that who's that good at a very important position. I don't get playing him at guard. Now, the Eagles drafted Cam Jurgens in the second round. And you might say, Chase, they played him at right guard. That's because Jason Kelce was still around. So use a player who's a good player at guard while you have one of the best centers of all time on your roster. But as soon as Kelce retired, the Eagles knew what the plan was when they drafted Cam Jurgens. Jason Kelce helped to handpick Cam Jurgens. They're going to plug him in at center. The Raiders aren't in that spot. So JPJ, elite center, he's unhappy with the situation because he wants to play center, and he's playing on a bad ball club. But if there is a team out there that wants to trade for an offensive lineman along the interior, JPJ is a good option, especially if you need a center. For the Niners, I would give up a second rounder for JPJ. For Mekhi Becton, would love to see him come back. Eagles could have afforded him at $10 million per year. Tyler Steen's not been bad, but he's just been fine. But you know what the problem is for me? When you're a Super Bowl contender, is just being fine. Carol Hosey, $5. I'm watching the show while at work. Thank you for keeping me company. Y'all are the best. Carol, we're always here for the legends and the real ones. Caleb Scheel, I second the detention slip. Get a signed petition. I'm here to sign anything. I'm here to sign anything. Tell your teachers I told you that it's fine that you're watching the show. I fully support that because I would be doing the same thing if I was in high school. Travel specialist, $2. Jets will give us a first for Mac Jones. Look, the Niners are in a spot right now where they can't trade away Mac. They can't trade away Mac because they don't know when Brock Purdy can come back. And if Brock Purdy does come back, this toe might linger all year. That's what Kyle Shanahan said. That's the complexity of the turf toe. That's why they should have never played him in week 4 against the Jags when he re-aggravated it and he made it worse. Plus, I think the Jets, they want to be able to draft a young quarterback. Mac is young. He's resurrected his career. And you could kind of put him in that category of a Sam Darnold, a Baker Mayfield, a guy who's been able to really resurrect his career. But the Niners need him, and I wouldn't trade him away right now because you're in it because Mac Jones has gone 5-2 this year. AB from the 9-4, $10. What's up, Niner fam? Chase, don't think the Niners would have already made a trade if they were going to. In Hendrickson, we trust. So what I've kind of said all day is we have 41 minutes to go until the deadline. I think the Niners are waiting this out to see if any of the price demands go down. For instance, if the Jets are asking for a 2 right now for Jermaine Johnson, probably too steep for the Niners' liking. But the closer that we get to the deadline, like with any negotiation that goes on for a while, does that price tag go down? And that's when the Niners would pounce. Plus, what other teams are going to be desperate? What other teams could overpay? What other teams could make a move which could dictate the market? I think those are all things that hopefully going through the Niners' minds right now because I think it would be idiotic to not make a move for a pass rusher. Justin Cheeseman, $2. What was the last player drafted 11th? Not this year. So in 2024, let's take a look. Maybe a quarterback. Olu Fashanu, offensive tackle for the Jets out of Penn State. Bo Nix was 12. J.J. McCarthy was 10. I knew a quarterback was close there. But Olu Fashanu, the offensive tackle out of Penn State, went to the Jets at number 11 in 2024. And let's see how Olu Fashanu has played this year. Not horrible. Overall grade 63.9 according to PFF. Pass blocking grade 69.3. He has given up 22 pressures. Not good. That ranks 60th among offensive tackles. 3 hits allowed, 3 sacks allowed, 3 penalties. 504 snaps at left tackle. He was a little bit raw coming out of Penn State into the NFL, but obviously you'd like to see him play a little bit better. But sometimes it can take offensive linemen a little bit. Potion, the legend. More graceful jewelry removal from Howie. stacking future draft picks, deferring payouts, always grabbing comp picks and deals, addressed our needs and still stacked value. Please send a Robert Kraft masseuse to his house. Cheers. Just don't get Howie Roseman in trouble like Robert Kraft was in some hot water. That's what we don't need. But he's the best general manager in football. He might be the best general manager in American professional sports right now, in the 4 major sports: NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL. Is there a GM who's as aggressive? No. Is there a GM who is so insistent on improving the team 1 through 53? No. Is there a GM who extracts such great value for contracts, but also trades? No. Is there a GM who's as cap savvy as Howie? No. Right now, he's on a heater with player development. That adds to his standing as a GM. The guy has made 9 freaking trades since training camp. He's a psycho, but I love it, and he's got a trade fetish, and I love it. I'd rather have a trade fetish than a masseuse fetish like Robert Kraft. Mad Max, $2 super chat. It was the theme of the super chat. Relax. Mad Max, $2. Potion, appreciate it. Chase Senior, Niner Empire, Niner Gang. What up, Mad Max? And I love Fred Warner throwing up the dub. Dub City. Niners miss him. What a special player he is. G-Code, $2 super chat. Who do you trust? Game winner, Steph Curry or Eddie P? Oh, that's a good one, man. That's a good one. Eddie Pinheiro has not missed a field goal attempt this year. I knocked on wood. It was kind of the condensed sawdust wood. I love woodworking. But hopefully he continues to drill kicks, man. He's been money. Steph Curry, obviously money. Either one of them, you can't go wrong. I also like the intensity and the little bit of swagger that Eddie Dinero Pinheiro has from that kicker spot. My man gets fired up. He's got some juice. Jesus Zamora, is there any way the Niners can trade for a new team doctor? Clean house this offseason. This is what I would do if I were the Niners. Clean house this offseason, fire the entire medical staff, hire external experts, hire a consulting firm to hire a new medical staff, move the practice field, and start anew. It's crazy what has happened. But Jesus, I hear you, man. This injury rate has been absurd. Big Frano. Hopefully I pronounced it right. Will that turf toe end up retiring Purdy? No. It's not going to make him retire. It's not like he's Shaquille O'Neal dealing with turf toe, and turf toe gave Shaq some problems late in his career. But keep in mind, Shaq, 7 foot, and when he started to get a little bit bigger late in his career, I mean, the guy was like probably 350 pounds. So it's not like he's got that much weight on that turf toe. But look, if he comes back and re-injures it again, definitely have some concerns, which is why the Niners are erring on the side of caution. Because Joe Burrow, he suffered his turf toe injury in week 2. Purdy, week 1. Burrow needed surgery out till December. Purdy came back prematurely and re-injured it. And now it could be a problem all year long. You hope that doesn't linger beyond this year. That would be crazy. But that's why this Mac Jones signing has been so valuable for the Niners. Hood Baby JJ, you think that we can get Trey Hendrickson and Bradley Chubb? I don't think both. And I don't think it's going to be Trey because I think the Bengals want a first rounder. If it's a second rounder, I'd give that up for Trey. For Bradley Chubb, a 4th, 5th, 6th, get it done. Get it done. You need to. If you don't, inexcusable in my opinion. Steve Lim, $5 super chat. Giants should give us Kayvon Thibodeau for a 3rd after Mike Hill's injury on their turf. That's the least they should do. They owe us on this. I think every team in the NFL should be mandated to have a natural grass surface. Don't tell me it's possible. The Ravens had grass, then they went to turf, now they're back to grass. The MetLife Stadium turf, The World Cup is going to be there next summer. They're going to have a grass surface there. The World Cup is also going to be at AT&T Stadium. Jerry Jones is putting a grass surface on top. It's possible. It's a joke. Don't tell us you care about player safety, but you continue to trot them out on these awful turf surfaces. George Kittle made a good point after the game. When the turf has become a meme, it's probably time to change it. And or there should be one turf surface that all teams across the NFL who do have turf use. But they're all different. MetLife Stadium turf. It's a joke. And it's gotten, what, Nick Bosa, Raheem Mostert, and now Michael Williams? Frickin' sucks. It should be a penalty. Hey, New York, you don't change your turf. Anytime there's an ACL injury for an opposing player, you have to give up a draft pick. I say that tongue-in-cheek, but would be hilarious. 33 minutes to go until the NFL trade deadline. There have been 6 trades today, tied for the third most on any trade deadline going back to 1990. There were 10 trades on November 1st of 2022, 8 trades on November 5th of 2024. I think today is different because of the star-level players that we've seen get dealt. Once again, let's get to our sponsor, our friends at Prize Picks, the best daily fantasy sports app in the game and America's #1 fantasy sports app. Join the millions of users and sign up today. I know you all know ball, but I want you to show me. Turn your takes into cash with Prize Picks. Pick, predict, and play. Available in 45 states all across America. Newly available in the great state of Pennsylvania. In addition to California, the 2 states that requires a bulk of our audience to tune in from, obviously, on the 49ers Report on Eagles Now. Prize Picks is also the only app that offers stacks. You can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You want to pick more on Christian McCaffrey's receiving yards, rush yards, and touchdowns? Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. Follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app. Copy their lineups in one click. Whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just somebody whose picks you like, hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. Here's our 3-pick power play for some Thursday night football. Broncos-Raiders. What a matchup, huh? Bo Nix, more than 21.5 passing completions. Ashton Dente, more than 24.5 receiving yards. Bowers, more than 6.5 receptions. It's as easy as that. So here's the deal. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code CLNS. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Super chats continue to fly in. Sean Mosley with the latest. What's up, bro? Last year's draft, we went defensive heavy in 2020. Oh, okay. Last year in the draft, I see what you said. We went defensive heavy. In 2026, obviously, I think we're going offensive heavy. What seniors do you see coming out of college to make an impact on the team? Sean, that's a really good question. And I've said this a couple of times. The Niners in 2025, back in April, first 5 picks, all on defense. And that made sense because of all of the players that they lost on defense. The likes of Charvarius Mooney-Ward, Talanoa Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw. They got rid of Leonard Floyd, Malik Collins, Javon Hargrave. They needed to get younger and more affordable on defense. In 2026, what I would do if I were the Niners, obviously maybe not with the first 5 picks go all on one side of the ball or all at one position, but early in the draft, I am going heavy along the offensive line. You need to rebuild that unit. And I know they played a little bit better against the Giants and they ran the ball. The Giants are the worst rushing defense in the National Football League. And there has been a constant for San Francisco over the last few years. Against bad teams, their offensive line is good enough. Against good teams, they always get exposed. When you're in the playoffs, you're going up against some of the most feared defensive fronts in football. And that's when the Niners always struggle. So I would go offensive line heavy in the 2026 draft. Now, as far as players I would target, I got to be honest with you, Sean. I really start to focus in on the draft after the season. You know, at this point during the football season, it's all about covering the team and the news around the team. And I'm working 6-7 days a week in front of the camera on the microphone in order to do that. 6-7. But I watch college football a lot. My Saturdays are spent watching college football. But from a draft evaluation standpoint, I like to form my opinions when I can actually do some more research. And so I'll get there, and our draft coverage, as always, will be fantastic here on the show. But I appreciate that $10 super chat. David Law, the fourth, $10. Why would we give McKivitz so much for a tackle that gets tossed around like a fruit salad? $45 million with $27 guaranteed. Here's why. And this has to do with a point that you make, and this is a problem with the 49ers offensive line philosophy. They're content with just being good enough. They're content with being good, but not great. The problem with that is when you go up against elite defensive fronts and you get your asses kicked. Like what happened against Seattle in week 1, against Tampa Bay, against Houston. The other issue with the Niners offensive line philosophy, outside of Trent Williams, they don't really pay their offensive linemen a lot of money. So for Colton McKivitz, he's good, but not great. Again, going back to their philosophy, what they're content with from a team-building strategy. From a financial standpoint, it made sense to pay McKivitz that. $15 million per year in an offensive tackle market when guys are making $20 to $30 million, it kind of makes sense. You're not overpaying. He's right in that realm where he probably deserves to be because he's a good and solid option, but not a great option. And the Niners can be affordable at that spot. But look, when he's gone up against Brian Burns, when he had to go up against Will Anderson, he was getting tossed around like a fruit salad, as you mentioned. The Gift 916, $5 super chat. Why can Lynch give away 3 first-round draft picks for Lance, but doesn't want to give up anything to help our defensive line make a run to the Super Bowl? I get the question, but it's as simple as this. You give up 3 first-rounders often when you think that you can find your franchise quarterback. You give up 3 first-round picks when you can land a player like Maxx Crosby, like Micah Parsons. That wasn't even the price tag for Micah. So if you're bringing in a true game changer or an important position, that's when you surrender that type of draft capital. But you're not going to give that up for Trey Hendrickson. Maxx Crosby, I don't think is available. I don't think there's a player available right now where you'd give up 3 first-rounders unless it's a quarterback. So if you're looking for your franchise quarterback, obviously it didn't work out. That move flopped. And John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan might be with other teams or not working right now if it weren't for taking Brock Purdy a year later. He helped to save their asses. But there's a difference in the positions that you trade for, is how I would answer that question. Good question, though. Everybody always bringing the heat because you all know ball here on the program. G-Code, the Jets 2000 draft, 4 first-round picks, they flopped. 2.0 Jets for 2026. What did the Jets do in 2000? Let's see. Oh my gosh. Sean Ellis, John Abraham, Chad Pennington, Anthony Becht taken in the first round. Now, Becht ended up being a good tight end for a long time. Chad Pennington probably brought them their best football at the quarterback spot that they've had which is saying something. They've been in quarterback purgatory. I know they went to back-to-back AFC championship games with Mark Sanchez, but the highs for Chad Pennington was probably better. Obviously, he dealt with those shoulder injuries, but he was a solid player. Sean Ellis made it to two Pro Bowls, both of them with the Jets. John Abraham, he was a good player. He was an All-Pro with the Jets and a 3-time Pro Bowler with the Jets. Second-team All-Pro with Atlanta. First-team All-Pro with Atlanta. And then a Pro Bowler with Arizona. He played for a very long time. I mean, he played in the NFL for 15 years. So I wouldn't say that was a historically bad draft class. You'd like some more needle movers for sure. But yeah, Pennington, 8-4, 4-5, 8-5, 1-2, 10-6 in 2006. You got him 18th overall, and he was good, but that shoulder was just a really bad problem for him. Anthony Becht. He didn't put up like gaudy numbers by any means with the Jets, and he was there for 5 years. Not a bad tight end in his career, but when you take him in the first round, yeah, you'd like to see him be better. But yeah, that's the thing, right? Jets fans have to be happy with the organizational reset from a financial standpoint, loading up on draft picks, but now it's time to hit on those picks. Rich Cimini, who is a Jets reporter, Sauce Gardner, stunned by the trade per his brother and agent Alante Gardner, who told me he learned of the deal around 12:15 in a call from the Jets. They had no inkling before that. Sauce has no negative feelings toward the Jets. He understands it's a business. Alante said Sauce did get a call from Aaron Glenn. I mean, if I'm Sauce, I'm elated, right? The Jets have 1 win. Now you're going to a team that has 6. You went to sleep, a member of a 1-win football team, and now tomorrow you wake up, you're on a 6-win football team with an opportunity in the AFC. Is it 7? Even better. 7 wins. 7-2. Teams have called. Jets not interested in trading for Garrett Wilson. I feel bad for him.
Shout out to everybody. Audiences have been awesome today.
Yeah, it's been
over
awesome.
1,600 people watching right now on Eagles. Over 2,600 watching right now on Niners. Don't forget, of course, if this is your first time coming across the channel, to hit that sub button. Coverage all year round. Watch parties. We're killing it out here, baby. Of course, lives like this. Lock us in, man. Hit that sub button. Well over 100K on both channels. It's what we do. Coming up on 20 minutes left in the deadline. No moves today for the Niners or the Eagles. The Eagles obviously have made their moves. I'd be a little shocked if the Niners don't do anything. I'd be a little shocked. Carol already subscribed. Hit that like button. Carol's a real one. Become a real one. I'm loving all the comments in the Niners chat right now. Breaking: Niners are trading for a bag of chips.
I just tweeted this out. It'll be inexcusable if John Lynch doesn't trade for a pass rusher today. 20 minutes to go until the deadline. Come on, John. After that Michael Williams injury, you got to make a move. If he doesn't, straight up inexcusable.
Luis Lopez: breaking news, John Lynch was unaware that today was the trade deadline. Oh, man.
With all this movement today, you got to make a move, man. You can't wave the white flag on the season at 6-3. Come on, Johnny. More super chats to get to, right?
Yep. Did we get to this one from Cup? I don't believe so.
No. Cup, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I thought there was a 2 girls, 1 cup reference in there, but I couldn't come up with anything. Predict if there will be any more trades.
Hasn't been one in a while.
I know the Niners made the trade for Keon White, but that's not good enough in my opinion. I hope that John Lynch has one more move. Black Mask, I'm serious. I think teams don't want to trade with the Niners, a.k.a. the Raiders. But wouldn't you say that about the Eagles too with Howie Roseman? Especially with them winning the Super Bowl and teams being jealous of how Philadelphia runs their operation? So Cup, I think John Lynch makes one more move. I think the Eagles are set though. Damn it, no politics? I didn't mention politics. I just mentioned 2 girls, 1 cup. John Sheeran.
Is that political now?
Think Howie finally found his bed. 9 trades since the start of training camp, so he might be content at this point.
Time for him to rest up a little bit. Start focusing on the offseason.
Yeah, and Green Bay. Howie put the phone down finally. The gift 916. But you give up 3 first-rounders for a guy that played 19 games in college, less than 600 snaps, and you think you're getting a franchise quarterback? Come on. Look, the thought process is giving up 3 first-round picks to get a quarterback. Obviously, the move didn't work out, but you're going to value quarterback a lot, is the point that I was making there.
Adam Schefter confirming what we knew. A.J. Brown has not and will not be traded. So I don't know why that needs to be a tweet.
That's just engagement bait. Anthony, $10. Is it even smart to trade next year's picks when half our big money impact players aren't healthy right now? You're 6-3. You have a chance to win the division. You win the division, you host a playoff game. The Eagles are 6-2. They're the number 1 seed in the NFC. You have as many wins as them. And I also think it's important for the young players to get some playoff experience. You also get into the playoffs, you have an opportunity to win against any team when Kyle Shanahan's calling the offense and Robert Saleh's calling the defense. We've seen the Niners beat the Rams shorthanded as 8.5-point underdogs. Now, do you want to give up your first-round pick? No. But if you can give up a 4th for Jermaine Johnson, if you can give up a 5th or a 6th, something along those lines for a Bradley Chubb, you make that move. Kalani, let him know, Chase. That's why we're here. That's why we're here.
Let him know. Let's see.
Almost 30,000 people have joined us so far on both streams throughout the day. So glad all of you are hanging out here with us. It's been fun to just chop it up. Talk some football.
Christopher, $5 super chat. Would you deal Jauan Jennings to the Bengals? Jennings in a 2nd-round pick to the Bengals for Hendrickson. I don't know if the Bengals would do that, but shoot. I would do that. I would give that up. Don't you give up a 1st-round pick for Hendrickson? You know, Jennings has obviously not had a great year.
14.5 minutes to go until the deadline. See, for the Bengals, wide receiver is not their problem. You have Jamar Chase. You have T. Higgins. Joe Flacco's been slinging the pill like crazy at 40 years old. And wide receiver is not a position that makes the Bengals better. What they need, defensive help, but even with Trey Hendrickson, they're bottom of the NFL in almost every major defensive statistical category. So I don't think Jennings and a 2 gets it done. 2 and a 3 could get it done. I think they value draft picks instead of a player who's also going to be a free agent after the year. Tyler V. Come on, John. Do it for the fans. Do it for the fans. Do it from a content standpoint, Johnny.
Come on, John. Come on, John. Closing in on $500 in Super Chats on Niners. Got this 5 from EJ Firestorm. Been talking about this a lot. Want to see the Niners get a Kayvon Thibodeau, or I imagine it's Bradley Chubb. I don't want Trey for me. He looks like another Chase Young. It's better than Chase Young.
Dude. Trey Hendrickson?
Yeah.
The knock on Chase Young is his motor. It's his effort. It's the fact that he gives up on plays. If there's one thing that Trey Hendrickson does at an elite level outside of getting after the quarterback, it's his motor. It's that he hustles. It's that he plays to the whistle and through it. Trey Hendrickson is a dog from an effort standpoint. That's the type of player who you want in the locker room. So you can't compare Chase Young and Trey Hendrickson. Chase Young has not come close ever to 17 and a half sacks in 2023 and 17 and a half sacks in 2024 like Hendrickson. Hendrickson is a player who wins because of effort, because of technique, because of having a pass rush arsenal. Chase Young is a player who's tried to get by just by being an athletic freak. But I appreciate the super chat. We can disagree. It's all good. We don't do enough of that these days. Look no further than my Twitter page a couple of days ago when I went viral for tweeting about EMFs. AB from 94, another 5. What does the picture then say if the Niners front office doesn't make a trade? What does that say to the fans and organization? That the Niners waved the white flag and gave up on the season. That's what it tells me. If you made the trade for Keion White and you came out of that Giants game with Mykel Williams healthy, then I could see why the Niners wouldn't make a move. Mykel Williams is hurt. Yeturgos Matos is on injured reserve. Bryce Huff is coming back against the Rams, right? So you're still very thin at pass rusher. Got to make a move. Big Hurt. Hyped up from going to MetLife to see a Niners victory. Just woke up to get ready for work tonight. Expecting some good news. 20 minutes left till the deadline and nothing. WTF, Lynch. They're really milking this thing. Big Hurt. How cool was it to be at MetLife where Niner fans took over the stadium? Jackson Dart said, never in my life have I seen a disparity like that where the away fans outnumbered the home fans. A lot of red in the building on Sunday. Pretty awesome. Big Hurt, appreciate it. Sean Mosley, good question here. What is going on with Jacob Cowing? When are we getting out of dead cap? Lastly, help us understand the Kyle Shanahan mind frame. Frustrates the hell out of me as clock management still sucks. So Jacob Cowing, according to Matt Barrows, he told Barrows, right, that he's re-injured his hamstring 3 times this year. Anytime he gets close to coming back, he re-injures it. Another reason why you have to fire the strength and conditioning staff. That should not happen. The alarming rate of soft tissue and hamstring issues should not happen. I would imagine we don't see Jacob Cowing this year. He's going to have to try to get that hamstring right because clearly anytime he tries to return, he injures it again. That's on the Niners' strength and conditioning staff. When are we getting out of dead cap? That's spread out over the next couple of years. But even with the dead cap, the Niners are still in a good salary cap situation this year and next year. As for Kyle Shanahan, I actually think he's done a better job with game management this year. I like how he's gotten aggressive at times as far as going for it on fourth down. I mean, first drive of the game against New York, he's in his own territory. He goes for it on fourth down. You punt away there, you're already down 7-0. I hate the vibes of how the start of that game would go. But he goes for it, Niners score, next drive, they score again, boom, 14-7. So, look, my issue with Shanahan is how he gets conservative when he gets a lead, and that's why he's blown so many double-digit leads in the second half and in the fourth quarter. But with being aggressive, I think he's done a better job. Clock management, look at how he managed the end of the half against New Orleans when Mac Jones went on that beautiful 2-minute drive. He's done that a couple times this year where he's been able to hold on to timeouts, manage the clock. Look at how he managed the clock against Arizona in week 3, leading to the Mac Jones game-winning drive. That was brilliant. With how he managed his timeouts in the 2-minute warning, that kept some time on the clock for that game-winning drive from Mac Jones. So I hear you. Frustrates me too sometimes. But he's still a top 5 coach in the league. I mean, he's gone 5-2 with Mac Jones. This team is 6-3. It's incredible. All right, let's take a last look at our Super Chat battle. $465 on the 49ers report. $221 on Philadelphia Eagles now. Can we get to 500 on Niners, 300 on Eagles now? Those are the 2 goals that we have here until we sign off. And we'll probably sign off shortly after the deadline surpasses because I want to put 2 videos, one on each channel, talking about what happened today for the Niners and the Eagles. So last call for our Super Chats. We'll continue to answer those. Evan Went sent in a $2 Super Chat.
Evan.
Eric Sotelo, $2 Super Chat. I love it.
All right, here's Evan's $2 Super Chat.
Evan Went. Mac Jones is trade him or sign him long term. No need to do either. Brock Purdy's hurt. He's going to be managing the turf toe the rest of the season. Mac Jones has gone 5-2. He's shown that he can run this offense in a really efficient manner. Playing point guard, distributing the ball all across the field. I like his arm strength. I like his pocket feel. He's under contract next year. And he's under contract for like $4 or $5 million. So no need to trade him. No need to sign him long term. You sign Brock Purdy long term, and you have a backup who's gone 5-2. He's done a terrific job. And he's under contract next year. Eric Sotelo, $2 Super Chat, F the training staff and John Lynch at this point. John Lynch can make up for it by making a move, but he better make a move pretty damn quickly. As far as the training staff goes, yes, F them. They're not doing a good enough job. We need an audit. We need an investigation. And we need the Niners to clean house because we're talking about a near decade-long stretch of the Niners being injured. Inexcusable. Hamza, can the Niners please do something? Anything, please. I'm waiting for a move, too. 5 minutes to go until the deadline.
Here we go. This is it.
Jake Billings, $2. Do you think Mac is better or worse or same as Brock? He's not as good as Brock. And I think Brock's mobility would help unlock a little bit of something for the Niners with his ability to make plays out of structure and create a little bit because he's mobile and Mac Jones is immobile. He has a little bit of a stronger arm compared to Brock, but Brock sees the field probably a little bit better, throws with great touch and anticipation. But Mac, he anticipates well and throws with good touch too. But I think Brock is better. I mean, Brock was top 5 in MVP voting in 2023. I know the supporting cast was loaded, but played damn good football. Jesse Fain, I haven't done 1 ounce of work waiting on Lynch. My work has been chopping it up with all of you and talking football, which has been a blast, but I want to talk about a move. AJ Gurica, $10 super chat. Lynch last minute, book it. Got to do it. Got to do it. Nigel Crane, $5. I hear other fan bases asking why we are so hard on Shanahan. They see him as a good coach. Why can't some of our fans always asking to fire him? I think it's because he's lost 2 Super Bowls and he's choked some big games away, but the track record is there. Maximizes quarterbacks, develops quarterbacks, one of the best play designers and play callers in the National Football League. The Niners have one of the best operations in the NFL. The fact that his teams, outside of rare games like Houston, are always ready to play despite being shorthanded, it's impressive. He's a genius of an offensive mind. If the Niners were to fire him, he would get scooped up in 30 seconds. So sometimes you don't realize what you have, but Niner fans better be careful of what they wish for. Because Kyle Shanahan is a big reason why the Niners have had so much success and why they've made it to 2 Super Bowls and 4 NFC Championship games in 6 years prior to this season. Caden Nelson, $2. What are the odds that we keep Saleh past this year? All comes down to whether or not he gets a head coaching job. That's what it comes down to for him. And there's a chance he gets a head coaching job after this year. What he's done with all of these injuries, playing young players, and the lack of the sum of parts, I think he's done one of the best jobs of any defensive coordinator in football. Now, why another team might not hire him is if they go with an offensive mind over a defensive mind. And let's hope that happens, because what a job he's done as a defensive coordinator for this ball club. Ben Frank, $2 super chat. Let's go all in for Chubb and Waddle. Come on, Lynch. You don't need a wideout. You're going to get Ricky Pearsall, Brandin Ayuk back. The offense is fine, I think, especially if they can run the ball. But pass rusher, need a pass rusher. Ty Tanner, $5. They're now considering this a developmental season. They're purposely delaying Purdy, Pearsall, and Ayuk's return. Pretty crazy if they look at it as a developmental season, yet they're 6-3 in a wide open NFC. I would hate that mindset. There are moves to be made out there where you can improve at pass rusher. I get wanting to hold on to draft capital, but you are still in a good position with your draft picks.
Ricky signing off.
Mad Max, $2. No last minute trade. Ride and die. We'll see. Alex Maya. All right, I think they've messed with us long enough. It's time for a trade. Keep in mind, the deadline is going to come, but a trade could still happen right after the deadline. So we'll stay live here for a bit in case another move happens. I saw my boy Jack Tucci in the chat sending in a super chat on Eagles. Now we'll pop that up here soon. Hood Baby JJ, $2. Trade for a 2027 first round pick for Jeremiah Smith. Obviously you have to... Oh, Saints again?
Saints the buzzer sending Trevor Penning to the Chargers.
Trevor Penning to the Chargers. Wow. Eagles did open Nolan Smith's practice window today. He'll practice this week leading up to Monday's game. They also released linebacker Patrick Johnson from the active roster and wide receiver Terrace Marshall from the practice squad. They needed to do that. Smith has been out since week 3 with that triceps injury. That's the triceps that he tore in the Super Bowl.
All right, here we go.
Daniel Nicholas. Why is D-Rob not getting more touches? Can't Shanahan overrule CMC and get him 5 to 10 more carries? Maybe use them both on the field at the same time. I'd love to see 2 running back sets more. Brian Robinson has some juice. Why is DeMarcus Robinson not getting more touches? That has been interesting. Now, 2 of the last 3 games, the Niners have put a priority into running the ball. And then against Houston, the time of possession disparity was crazy. 42 minutes to 18. And so they didn't have ample opportunities on offense. But I agree. D-Rob's a good player. I don't think that missing the first 3 games helped him by any means, but he also practiced all throughout training camp. I'd like to see him get more involved. He's a solid player. He averaged over 16 yards per catch for the Rams last year. If Sean McVay made it work, Kyle Shanahan has to make it work. Justin Cheeseman. Lynch just traded a first for Chase Sr. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Doing a lot of high rocks training. I bulked up a little bit. I kind of banged up my knee a couple weeks ago, so I might need to, take a week or two off. I'm still trying to train for this high rocks competition while not running all that much, but I think I'll be ready to go soon, at least hopefully soon. But I'm injured. It fits the Niners, right? Come on. Vinny boy, come on, Lynch, find another injury-prone first-round bust. The track record in the first round isn't good. They haven't hit on a bona fide first-round pick since Nick Bosa in 2019. 2025. Not good. James Capps, no trade for the Niners, season done. Still an opportunity to make a move here. It's kind of a soft trade deadline.
I'm sure there'll be a trade that comes in somewhere a couple minutes after the deadline. Because they could be submitted, but, take some time for them to get reported. Happens. Could you imagine? Every time I get a Twitter notification, it's just, oh, no.
Yeah, I don't think the season is over, but if there's no trade, that is highly disappointing. The trade is Keon White. Sean Mosley, I vote Saleh for 49ers head coach. No, you don't want Robert Saleh over Kyle Shanahan. I'm telling you right now. Now, I do want to see what Saleh can do at the quarterback because he didn't get one with the Jets. But Kyle Shanahan's elite. Sean, thanks again. Jack Tucci. Bird's going back-to-back how he sees him. Ski Mask Howie. Lisa Chipper. $20 super chat. Thank you, Lisa.
Let's go.
Deontay Francis. Almost like Deontay Francois. Shout out Reed Barkas. Does anybody know when Johnny Wilson is coming back? He's out for the year. He's out for the year. He injured his knee and hamstring and had to get surgery. Is that it on Super Chats?
All caught up on the Supers.
All right, let me use the bathroom here, and maybe me leaving the studio, then coming back, will change the vibes, and the Niners will make a trade.
That'd be crazy.
We'll see. I'll be right back.
We shall see. So the deadline is over. Still could be a move or two that trickles in. We just got this one. Saints sending failed first-round pick Trevor Penning to the Chargers. But it seems like that's the only thing that's come through here. Now, we talk about the Niners. According to reports, the Jets were looking for a second-round pick for Jermaine Johnson, and I can't blame the Niners for not wanting to give up a second-round pick. A third I would have done. The second's just too rich. Second is just too rich. All right, we can run through all the trades that happened today. So, first one that happened today was the Jakobi Meyers trade. Good start to the day, not a blockbuster, but still a pretty big move. Jacksonville with Travis Hunter on the IR with a knee injury, giving up a 4th and a 6th to the Raiders for Jakobi Meyers, who will be a free agent. So I don't mind this one for either side there. AFC trade. Jags trying to load up. Coming off a win over the Raiders, funny enough, in overtime. Then we had the big one, man. One of the shockers today. Real quick, Dolphins are done for the day, so they dealt Jalen Phillips, but Bradley Chubb, Matthew Judon, Minkah Fitzpatrick all remain. Dolphins also got calls for Jaylen Waddle, but they were looking for a first-round pick and more. Nobody wanted to give that up. What a shocker this was. Colts really going for it and really telling the NFL and everybody that they are all in on Daniel Jones. Last time a team did that, it did not work out well, but at 7-2, they're going for it, man. Give up their first-round pick this year and next year, and a once promising young receiver, still has potential, in Adonai Mitchell for Sauce Gardner, man, who at his best could be the best corner in the game. Has not been at his best the past year and a half or so. I think it's almost become a little bit underrated in my opinion. I think he's still easily a top 10 corner. So Colts getting aggressive, making the move. And then, of course, Niners division rival Seahawks making a move as well for an explosive receiver in Rashid Shaheed, giving up a fifth and a fourth-round pick in this year's draft. Again, I think a fair trade here. Shaheed's a really good complementary piece. Obviously has blazing speed. And, that Seahawks offense was already clicking. Obviously, a lot of JSN. I like Torrey Horton there. They have Cooper Kupp. He's been banged up. Bringing a speed demon like Rashid Shaheed, man. The Seahawks are not playing around. Seahawks are not playing around. I mean, a little bit of a smaller one after that. The Bears trading away a 6th-round pick for Tryon-Shoyinka and a 7th-round pick. Another former 1st-round pick, I believe, of Tampa Bay, who bounced around a little bit. Never really found a home, but Bears taking a chance on a young player. Don't have to give up much. Jets continued their fire sale today, giving up star defensive tackle Quinnen Williams to the Dallas Cowboys for a 2nd-round pick this year, a 1st-round pick in 2027, and Mozzie Smith, who stinks. And then we got the Chargers getting Trevor Penning. TBD, I assume it's a late pick for that. What's interesting, too, Diana Rossini, AFC East teams reached out to the Jets about potential deals, but New York declined to trade with division rivals, as does happen. They got good compensation anyways, so it's not like they settled. But, yeah, that was the day. That was the day. So we had what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trades today? Yeah, 6 trades today. Starting with Jakobi Meyers. Obviously had some leading up to today as well.
Wow. Niners don't make a move.
Crazy.
Can't believe it, man. Can't believe it. Now, we're going to sign off here soon so that we can do some shows where we can put some graphics together. Here are my thoughts on this. The 49ers waved the white flag for the 2025 season. It's very disappointing. They'll still be competitive. They should still make the playoffs. They'll be a fun team to watch because they'll play hard. Offensive reinforcements coming back will help. But without a serious pass rush, the defense will continue to struggle, and they put a lid on how good they can be. That's really what it comes down to. And I know they're going to get Bryce Huff back. They traded for Keon White, added Cleveland Ferrell. They're so thin at defensive end. They lose Michael Williams for the year. They're an injury away from being in another precarious spot. No developmental pass rushers on the practice squad. Stinks. Cameron Ezel, $2 super chat. I'm about to boycott this team. I imagine a lot of Niner fans are feeling pretty fired up. You should. Should. All right. Is that it on Super Chats, Eric Show? Yep, we're all cut up. So, we've been doing trade deadline coverage over the last few years. The show that we put on today, by far our best that we've ever had. Absolutely incredible audience all day long. 35,000 views on the 49ers report. 34,000 views on Philadelphia Eagles now. Really appreciate everybody who hung out. The watch time on both streams, so great. It was awesome, honestly, to talk about the trades that happened and just chop it up with everybody while taking your questions and your super chats. That was a lot of fun. Hopefully you all had a lot of fun as well. Kalani, Niners just proved they're not serious this year. I agree. And I'm going to expand on that with the video that's coming up here soon. It's going to be up on the channel not too long. What's the super chat battle? We can give you that. 526 for Niners, 253 for Eagles. So that's the final tally right there with the super chat battle. 49ers report wins today. 526 to 253. Phenomenal on both ends. Andrew Nathan, Howie's live. I don't see that the Eagles channel is live. Yeah, what's John Lynch going to say? Brutal. All right, everybody, we're going to sign off so that we can put some shows together. The Eagles made a couple of roster moves. We're going to talk about that on the Eagles side. And I'm going to rant about what the Niners did not do today. Highly disappointing. Thanks to everybody for tuning in to our trade deadline coverage. For Chip, I'm Chase. We'll see you soon. Later.